birds are more than birds. They're symbols, sentinels that reveal the health of our planet and our people. And by helping them thrive, all of us thrive as well. Audubon is a place where birds matter, where habitats are protected, where communities are engaged, and where change takes flight. Because at Audubon, hope begins with birds. Progress begins with birds. It all begins with birds. Audubon.
Hey there, Jane Lynch here. You want to hear something funny? Too bad. You want to hear something uplifting that will inspire you? Good. Because today, I want to talk to you about Direct Relief, a humanitarian organization that does seriously good work when it counts. Fires, hurricanes, earthquakes. When disaster strikes, Direct Relief immediately shows up with medicines, medical supplies, and everything doctors and nurses need to save lives. Let's ship her out! Every day across the United States and around the world, they're making an enormous difference. If someone needs help, Direct Relief helps. No politics, no red tape. Hey, what you doing over there?
Oh, I'm packing insulin for kids with diabetes.
See, every box here is literally a lifeline for someone in critical need. So check them out at directrelief.org and donate if you can. You might just bring a smile to someone's face.
Listen to the man who tells you exactly how he sees it. The Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris every weekday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. on 101.7 FM, 1510 AM WGKB Waukesha and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station.
This is the Bloomberg Black Business Beat, brought to you by FidelityInvestments.com. Now that we're in the second year of President Donald Trump's second term, our team of analysts at Bloomberg Intelligence is taking stock of how some of the administration's pushback against DEI is changing the business landscape. I spoke with Bloomberg Intelligence senior ESG analyst Rob Duboff, whose research shows that the way corporations talk about their boardrooms has seen a big shift.
Companies, when they nominate directors, they used to say, here's our 12 director nominees, X% are women, X% are people of color. Now, they just say, we look for directors with a background of a diversity of viewpoints in their background. They're not really getting into what diversity is. It's kind of become this more vague term of just, people who have differences of opinion.
This change in approach could be a company's way of maintaining its core values related to diversity while not drawing the ire of the White House. I'm Bloomberg's Justin Milliner on the Black Business Beat.
With Fidelity Wealth Management, a dedicated advisor gets to know you and your goals to build a comprehensive plan to help grow and protect your wealth. Backed by a team of specialists, they'll analyze all your accounts, even the ones they don't manage, to keep an eye on taxes and provide proactive portfolio insights that can help you unlock your wealth's full potential. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC. Member NYSE SIPC.
Time is valuable. That's why Lowe's Blueprint Takeoffs turn blueprints into quotes faster. Bring us your plans, and we'll generate itemized material lists to make quoting easier so you can get back to building. Plus, at the Lowe's Pro Desk, you get access to thousands of building materials not sold in store. And when your order's ready, we'll deliver everything to the job site. Improving is easy at Lowe's.
He steps to the mic with a boom, ping, ping. Wisdom sharper than a beast's fierce sting. Words like fireflies that light the night. He turns the dark into blazing bright. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king, all the airwaves king. Shake the ground. unveils a truth where lies abound. Politics, justice, social streams. He molds the chaos into dreams. No silence here, just the sound of change. Boom, ping, ping, rearrange. Boom, ping, ping, the truth takes wing. Milwaukee's voice, let the city sing. Boom, ping, ping, hear the freedom ring. Sherwin's the king or the airwaves kin. Through the static, through the noise, he amplifies the people's voice. Boom, ping, ping, like a heartbeat's call. He's got the wisdom to break down walls. Yeah. Da, 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 da,
Good morning. Welcome to the program. Today is Thursday, February 19th, 2026. A long time ago, when I was a wee lad, adults would ask me, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you would just name off whatever profession you think that adult wants to hear, or whatever top income earning job, or there was a cliched stuff. Now, this was a generation ago. A cop, firefighter, somebody wanted to be a doctor or a lawyer, but it was very common to ask young people what they wanted to be when they grew up. I think that has changed because employment options and opportunities have changed. And I kind of want to talk about that today. It gives some detail on where we are as different racial groups and ethnicities, where we work, and the differences between the salaries. Because once I give you guys this information, it may not make a whole heck of a lot of sense, because we have really drifted away from what do you want to be when you grow up to what people are actually doing. And maybe it is a signal of what the economy is, what the economy offers in the city and the town in which you live. But as you can imagine, there are some groups that are at a major disadvantage. And it's quite embarrassing. And then we can say, all right, well, is our education system producing the people that can work in the industries that would be preferred, where you can make decent amount of money, you can retire with a pension, you're actually doing meaningful work? And I think that there's a disconnect, because if we're just going to keep tumbling through the days with no policy focus or policy aim, I think we are just going to continue to replicate the cycles of poverty and economic discontent, et cetera, et cetera. I think we put a lot of stock in our jobs, and far too many people get their identity from what they do for work. I try not to do that, because what identity is a radio host? That's not an identity that anybody really wants to have. Like, what even is it? I just say a bunch of stuff and throw out a bunch of mindless opinions. So I've been told, and I actually listen to this thing that I've been told. When you meet somebody for the first time, and maybe you're at a professional event, maybe it's a social gathering, it's a birthday party, who knows? But there are people there that you are not previously acquainted. We often introduce ourselves, or when we begin to inquire about somebody else and make small talk with them, the first thing we do is ask them what they do for a living. They say you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to engage people a million other ways instead of asking them what they do for a living, because what someone does for a living to get their paycheck, to feed themselves and their family, is not necessarily indicative of who they are as a person. So you're supposed to say things like, oh, what was the last vacation you went on? Or what did you accomplish today? Or is there anything interesting or fascinating that you have yet to do? You're supposed to engage people on much more like broad, global topics. But we don't do that. We ask people what they do for a living, which, if you don't like what you do, or if you're temporarily unemployed, I think that kind of puts people in a bit of a defensive position. I looked at things, employment opportunities, and options by race, and I'm looking at the details for black men, and it's shocking. And it's broken down by city. It's broken down by region. So I understand why people want to move away. I am more committed to helping Milwaukee and helping Wisconsin realize its full potential because I rather like it here. And I know that I might be in a minority by saying that I like it here. But I think the potential for the city of Milwaukee to be so much better, and we already have a relatively decent cost of living. The amenities here, I think, they're decent, right? You can do a whole bunch of fun things, go see music shows and all sorts of places to eat. And I'm going to cover a lot of those fun things to do during my Friday segment called The Milwaukee Experience. And I like what we have to offer in this town. I've also seen growth, decline, and I think we're on an upswing, somewhat on an upswing in the city of Milwaukee right now. And I'm fascinated by that, and I want to be a part of the continued upswing. But we have got to find and create either, and maybe both, a more technically sophisticated and educated black and brown workforce, or we have to figure out a way to bring more gainful employment here where they will train our people. Because the industries that our young people are going into, regardless of what they say they want to be when they grow up, they're not doing those things unless they want to be a podcaster, because that's what the world needs right now. We need more people to podcast because there's not nearly enough. We need more YouTubers, I think. We need more people. Oh, by the way, since we need more YouTubers, go to youtube.com or open up your YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device. Search 1017 The Truth and hit subscribe, and you'll be able to see a YouTuber right there in front of your face. We also asked you a question, because we always ask you a question via YouTube. I want to just have an idea of those of you that participate in this program, that listen to this program. Are you employed? How are you? What kind of jobs do you guys have where you can sit and listen to me for 3 hours? By all means, I love it. Please don't. If you're unemployed and you can listen to my show for 3 hours, then stay unemployed and listen to me. That's my preference. But are you employed part-time? Are you employed full-time? Or are you unemployed? And I'm getting this assessment. I want this information because as we move into 2026, deeper into 2026, and you're going to start hearing more from political candidates. And I suppose at some point in time, I might have a candidate or two on this program. As of right now, I'm just not interested yet. Not yet. Still too far away. Going to have to address the referendum that we're going to see in our November ballot, which I think is going to pass. And if the referendum we see in the state of Wisconsin on our November ballot passes, anything related to diversity, equity, inclusion, and affirmative action, including government contracting and college admissions, and even how corporate jobs may structure their boardrooms and their management staff, all of that is going to change. I just don't see how our electorate in Wisconsin is 83% white. Our electorate in this state is even whiter than the population. White people are overrepresented in votes. And as you can imagine, people of color, black people in particular, we are slightly underrepresented, meaning we vote a little bit less than our population numbers would indicate. And I just don't know how like 44 or 45% of white people will vote statewide. Even the liberal whites, even the progressive whites, I just don't see how they would vote for a referendum that may put them at a disadvantage, because what this referendum does, it changes the U.S. Constitution. It says everything is going to be merit-based. We're not going to look at race at all ever again, even if there was a demonstrated example of where races were marginalized and pushed to the back and not given opportunities. We're going to make it unconstitutional to look at race, and ladies, you too, to look at gender when making decisions about employment and college admissions and contracting. And this is going to set us back 120 years. But it's going to be impossible to get white people to allow for the Constitution of Wisconsin to see disparity that most white people will say they had nothing to do with. So if I'm talking about the elections coming up in November, our primary in August, of course, we've got 6 or 7 candidates running for governor. We have to stay focused on employment. and job opportunities, and who of the candidates that are running for governor is going to keep their eye on the prize and still want to bring economic development to Wisconsin. I also don't know where the American economy is going to be because we are slowly creeping into a recession. Some of you feel it, but it's not being verified because the Bureau of Labor Statistics under this current president is not giving the American people any data. Got some information I talked about earlier this week. There were 40,000 foreclosures just in the month of January. Home foreclosures are up year over year, 32% since Donald Trump has been in office, but you're not hearing anything about that. Some of you are feeling it, but it's not being validated by the statistics that should be coming out of the president's administration because they know that this economy is tanking, but he's going to keep saying, oh, no, grocery prices are down and things are getting better. He's lying to the American people. So I want to have a conversation with you about industries and employment, particularly black men, because we get a bad rap for being either underemployed, unemployed, not making enough money, we're not providing like we should, and maybe we should get out ahead of that because if we can restructure our education system to provide the knowledge necessary to take advantage of high-tech jobs and higher-paying jobs, because AI it's coming. It's coming. I went to Left's Lucky Town yesterday in the Wauwatosa. Wasn't necessarily my first choice, but myself and a couple of friends, we went to Left's Lucky Town. Left's Lucky Town it's just a bar. I mean, it's a big bar, but it's a bar. And they have food. Not necessarily delicious food, but they got food. Guess what brings your food out when you go to Left's Lucky Town? It's just a bar. They got a patio, but it's still a bar. They got TVs, still a bar. Got dartboards, but it's just still a bar. The food comes out on the robots at a bar. I'm like, you can't have runners and servers? Because that's a whole part of the bar experience. You got the bartenders. And then you have the people, the servers that are taking your order, and they're going to go to the kitchen. They're going to bring out your food. I am literally watching servers at Left's Lucky Town lose their jobs. I'm wondering when we're going to have robots making our drinks. So, automation is coming. I want to make sure that we are as prepared as we can be. We're going to talk about jobs and employment. Xavier is producing the show. Good morning, sir. How are you today?
Epstein files.
I know you want to talk about the Epstein files, but I have to wrestle with that every single day. And I know the more that we talk about it, people don't get more outraged when they hear about some of the egregious things. They get numb. And even if we get people like really super duper upset, what are they going to do? What are they going to go protest in the city of Milwaukee? What are you going to do, go to City Hall? What are you going to do, write a very strongly worded letter to your member of Congress? Like, what are people even going to do? It's hard to get people... You get them upset about something, but then there's no action that they can take. And here's what I'm starting to see. Everybody is angry. There's like an undercurrent of anger and discontent amongst everybody. Like the stuff that's going on at City Hall, whether it be the things that are happening with the Common Council president and then two members of the Common Council that got into a bit of an argument. Then you have other members of the Common Council that are constantly going to the media and snitching on their colleagues to try and like one-up their colleagues. It is an absolute mess. Everybody is angry. I get angry too. But I'm starting to see this undercurrent of anger. People are angry here at Good Karma Brands. People are just walking around just mad for no damn reason. Here's what I think it's going to lead to in this city. And I can, of course, talk about all of the horrible and disgusting things in the world. I just found out today, it was a bottom of the fold news story in only maybe one local news publication. Like a 32 or a 33-year-old teacher's aide in Kenosha. I know this doesn't ring a bell for y'all because it was barely discussed. And a really attractive woman, too. Let me go ahead and state that for the record. She's in her early 30s, was convicted of sexually assaulting, I think her youngest victims, and they're all boys, were 11 and 12 years old. She even went to one of the boys' houses. We're talking about sixth grade kids here. She was convicted of having sexual contact and sexually assaulting 4 like prepubescent teenage boys while she was a teacher's aide. This woman got 51 years in prison. Insane. And nobody is even talking about that. I mean, I suppose I could, but then, I mean, what good is it going to do? Right? Get people all angry and get upset, and there's no outlet for them to express their anger. Like, protesting doesn't work anymore. I'm not telling you not to protest anymore, but what's it going to get you? Probably shot with a pepper ball or worse. So can we talk about employment for a little while, and then we can talk about kids disappearing and getting eaten by a satanic cult? Oh, it's also Ash Wednesday for the Catholics. They're walking around with dirt on their faces, which is something I never understood. But yay, Catholics. Going to eat up all the damn fish fries from now on through April. Can't even go get a fish fry because of the Catholics. See, now I'm angry. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. Don't go anywhere. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The award-winning 101.7 The Truth proudly celebrates Black excellence and the most monumental moments in our history. Tune in for Dr. Ken's Trivia, spotlighting powerful facts and moments you need to know. And Tori Lowe's Our Voices, Our Stories, amplifying the youth, perspectives, and lived experiences that define who we are. Celebrating Black excellence, celebrating our history. All month long on 101.7 The Truth.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Mine is numb from worry, yeah, it's all broken. Try to cry sometimes, but can't, cause choking. Sitting, the world outside keeps on turning. Yeah. Everything is everything.
Are you doing what you said you wanted to do when the adults were asking you, what do you want to be when you grow up? I'm not. I never thought in a million years that I would be doing this. However, one of my favorite sitcoms I used to watch back in the 1990s, it's called Martin. Martin is just as funny now as it was in 1997. I was fascinated by the fact that Martin was a radio host. But I think back then radio was much more important. Radio people were celebrities. We're not really celebrities anymore. There was also a show that came out. It was out in the late 70s, maybe early 80s, called WKRP in Cincinnati. If you really want to know how radio stations work, even though that show was 40 plus years ago, that's a pretty good idea of the different people and the personalities, etc. But I am not currently doing what I thought I was going to be doing or anything that I aspired to do. The good news is, and I want to, of course, encourage people to go to college. So recently, there's been this move to discourage people from getting a 4-year degree, and that discouragement has been met with increased tuition, which is not fair. I think it's institutional that they don't want people to go to college, especially Republicans. And lately, Republicans have really had a strong hold on government. And if you don't like where this nation is and where this nation is going, there's literally one political party that is in control of all of it right now. We can have that conversation later. But what Ronald Reagan found in the 1960s, when they stopped doing state subsidies for university education, that also corresponded with when African Americans throughout the civil rights movement, as we made that progress in the 60s, when we were getting admitted into colleges and universities, states were no longer subsidizing our education. So if you send your child to a Milwaukee public school in your attendance area, you don't pay a tuition for that because the state and property taxes are subsidizing it, right? Colleges and universities used to be the exact same way, because when the overwhelming student body population in the United States of America was white, we didn't want them paying for college. We wanted them to get all the degrees, get all the education, so they could be more competitive against communist countries, Russia, China, etc. But as more and more people of color, especially black people, were getting admitted into colleges and universities because of diversity programs and affirmative action programs, they're like, well, we can no longer legally deny black admissions, but we're going to make them pay for it. We're going to make them have to borrow more money and go into debt, because we know that African Americans in general have less assets, have less equity, and have less money to pay for college tuition. Also, something else that the Republicans found then that they still use right now, and this is true. The more educated somebody is, the more likely they are to be a Democrat. Period, point blank. I'm not saying that there aren't highly educated conservatives. But by and large, the more educated you get, the more likely you are to be a liberal or to be a Democrat, and Republicans hate that. And that is why Ron Johnson actually has been the biggest proponent saying, oh, you don't need to go to college. You can learn everything on YouTube. And we can tell that's where he learned a lot of stuff. I cannot believe he got reelected U.S. Senator. He is, and I want to be diplomatic here, and I also want to be respectful because I'm a very respectful person. Okay? You guys may not think so, but I like to be respectful, and I know that people don't agree with me politically, and they don't agree with me personally, but at least we have some decorum, and we are respectful of people that we disagree with. Okay? That was my disclaimer. Ron Johnson is dumb. Like Boxer Rocks, dumb. He can't speak. He can't articulate. And Ron Johnson has been in the Senate since 2010. 16 years. And I have never one time ever heard him clearly and concisely articulate a policy position. Ever. Never, ever one time. And this is the guy that is telling people that they shouldn't go to college. They should just learn a bunch of stuff on YouTube. African Americans are overrepresented in essential, lower-paying service and public-facing industries, while underrepresented, and that's what I want to focus on, why we are still underrepresented in industries that pay the most. And when I get to the income disparities, it's going to be like night and day. While African Americans are underrepresented in the highest paying technical, financial, and executive sectors, this pattern is one of the main drivers of the racial income and wealth gap in the United States. Can we not lose focus of that? Still to this day, depending upon your race, statistically, you are going to make less money. That is categorically unfair. Even if you have the resume, you have the experience, you have the skills, and lo and behold, you have the education. For some reason, based upon your race and in some cases your gender, you make less money. Now, the gender disparity, we have done a much better job of mitigating than we have the racial disparity. However, if you're a black woman, you're kind of screwed twice, and not in the good way. People like to get screwed in the bad way. If a woman opts not to have children, and that's a choice of hers. She can have them, she cannot have them, it's up to her. In the largest metropolitan areas in the country, where young women who are professionally employed don't have children, the pay disparity is almost non-existent. It's like 98%. Women make 98, 99% to every man's dollar. But when they have children, and I'm not necessarily saying that having the children contributes to the pay disparity, but there could be an explanation for longer periods of time outside of the workforce. And I think we live in a world where pregnant women get discriminated against. Let's say you're an employer, and some of you are, and you're looking for work. And I feel for you because I've had many a conversation with people that are looking for employees, and they are just struggling. There also was a period of time where employers would use the radio airwaves to try and recruit employees, and now they use the websites and they use the, I don't know, Indeed, is that one of them? And some Glassdoor, I don't know what, LinkedIn is garbage. Sorry, guys. I post political content and memes on LinkedIn. Screw all you LinkedIn people. All that stuff is fake. This is a whole bunch of people saying, look at me, look what I did. I just got a promotion and I just made it up. Shut up. I use LinkedIn like Facebook. I'll slide in a woman's inbox on LinkedIn because I can read her resume. I'm like, oh, she's got a good job. Hey, how you doing? You want to go get a coffee? So employers used to... And I think we even used to do like job announcements. This was years ago, not at this radio station, but at a previous one. And the number of people that would show up unprepared, didn't have the experience, didn't have the resume, and everybody wants to make $150,000 a year and can barely even type their name. You got a whole generation of people that can't even write in cursive. I'm bothered by that. because there's original historic documents that I have a feeling that Americans are going to need to start reading again, because we really don't know how our government works. And when we don't know how our government works, our government no longer works for us. We work for it. That's backwards. But you got a whole generation of people that can't even write in cursive. How do you sign your name? I swear we're going backwards. So in some of these industries in which African Americans, especially black men, are underrepresented, there is a pattern that is continuing to replicate itself since we de-industrialized America. But one more thing on pregnant women. If you're pregnant, and some of you are very pregnant, and you walk into, I don't know, you have an interview, and you didn't tell them that you're pregnant. You filled out all of the forms, and you sent in your resume. You got a real good resume. It's a very nice resume. And then you walk in 7 months pregnant. They clearly know that you're not going to be working there. In 2 or 3 months, they're going to have to... You're going to take family leave. Can you discriminate legally against pregnant women? If a pregnant woman makes it to the in-person interview, and let's say she had a couple of interviews on Zoom and she kept the camera breast up and you couldn't see that pregnancy. And then she goes in for a final interview and she goes in person and then she's like real super pregnant. Can they be like, get your pregnant ass out of here? You and that baby. Can they do that? Using Bureau of Labor Statistics 2023 through 2025 labor force data, African Americans represent 12.8% of total U.S. employment, but exceed that share in several key industries, and I'll share those industries on the other side. It may not be what you think. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Hey y'all, it's 101.7 The Truth's Rhea Riley for Sweet Talks Medical Spa in Menominee Falls. Skip the sterile clinical office feel. Sweet Talk stays on the cutting edge of beauty and wellness innovations in a vibrant, playful space promoting self-love and confidence. Sweet Talk specializes in a range of treatments, including injectables, medical-grade skincare, weight loss, hormone therapies, and more. Not sure where to start? Sweet Talks offers comprehensive wellness consultations to create a customized plan centered around you. Because at Sweet Talks, your goals are their goals. Learn more at sweettalks.com.
Join Cousins Club Rewards today. Grab your first sub and your next one could be free. After your first qualifying purchase, you'll earn a free sub and start collecting points for free food, exclusive deals, and even Cousins gear. Sign up today. It's fast and easier than ever on the Cousins Subs app. Earn points online, on the app, or in store. However you enjoy Cousins Subs, your rewards are right at your fingertips. Cousins Subs. We believe in better.
He's the voice for the people and the community's connection to change.
Sometimes justice looks different to me. Do you want them in jail for murdering Corey Stingley? Yes, you do. Do you want them to go to trial for what they did and go through that process? Hey, you know. But at the end of the day, the men that took Corey Stingley's life, something happened to where they have to accept the fact that they did that and that they have to be labeled a murderer for a certain length of time and when it was nothing, I think that was a huge thing that happened when you had to climb mountains to get to this point. 13 years?
The Tory Lowe Show, weekdays from 1 to 4 p.m. Live on YouTube and right here on 101.7 The Truth.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other, leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org. a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, Teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Our phone number here, if you're so inclined, questions, comments, I don't know, concerns about Jeffrey Epstein. 833-212-1017, 833-212-1017. I'm talking about employment, I'm talking about industries and what racial categories represent the industries that make up the very diverse employment of the United States, and maybe we can put our policy focus on helping and assisting some folks who have been historically and traditionally marginalized, because we want everybody to make more money. We want everybody to be gainfully employed. We want a low unemployment rate, then people have money and they can buy houses, they can live a comfortable retirement, maybe, just maybe, they can afford their health care, and the donut hole in Medicare that requires you pay 20% out of pocket. I'm very focused on these things. I know the world is taking us in a million different directions, and there's 1,001 things that we can be very angry at, but at the end of the day, we are going to get back to governing. We are going to move away from scandal. And right now, the American democracy, it is on fire. It is burning all around us. But at some point, we are going to rebuild, because what is happening everywhere, is not sustainable, and you know it isn't sustainable. Don't worry, I'll delve into the things that make us angry and all the terrible things Trump is doing. Sure, as I'm looking at my monitors here in the studio, that we are sending the largest U.S. warship off the coast of Iran. This man will do anything to distract you from those Epstein files. Anything. Oh, we will be in several wars by November of 2026. The country is going to want to crave this steady leadership of Donald Trump while he involves us in several military campaigns. So that's on its way as well. But I want to address something that somebody said in the YouTube chat. And if you would like to participate in our YouTube chat, it's free. It's free 99. Go to youtube.com or open up your YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device. Search 1017 The Truth and hit subscribe. Toniette Meyer says, if Ron Johnson is that stupid and dumb, doesn't say much about Mandela, who wants to be the next governor. So I'm so glad you said that. And I've made it clear that I disagree with Mandela Barnes' decision to run for governor, even though he was elected lieutenant governor in 2018. He opted to leave his lieutenant gubernatorial position and take a shot at running against U.S. Senator Ron Johnson, because at the time, Ron Johnson was the most vulnerable U.S. senator in the country. So it was a really, really low bar. I didn't like the fact that Mandela left Governor Tony Evers, and for all intents and purposes, Tony Evers was a good governor. He resisted and pushed back on and fought hard against Republicans' worst political impulses, because we have a Republican majority in both our state Senate and state assembly. And Tony Evers was very strategic in using his line item veto and other things, especially with distributing money that we got from COVID, to kind of mitigate some of the worst Donald Trump flavored impulses of our state legislature here in Wisconsin. So I think he was a decent governor, considering the political climate that Tony Evers entered into and the one that he is leaving. And on Tuesday, he gave his final State of the State address. No, I didn't watch it. So Mandela Barnes has now entered this current very crowded Democratic primary for governor, as Tony Evers is not seeking, I guess this would be a third term, right? And then via YouTube, Toniette Meyer says, if Ron Johnson is that stupid and dumb, doesn't say much about Mandela, who wants to be the next governor. If you are suggesting that my statement on Ron Johnson being dumb, he is. He's a total airhead. He's an embarrassment. Every every time he opens his mouth, I remember he's representing Wisconsin, which should be embarrassing for all of us. But here's the thing. I'm not blaming Mandela losing to Ron Johnson on Ron Johnson being dumb. And I think the point you're trying to make is like, oh, Mandela must be dumber than Ron Johnson. Let me be real clear about something. White people don't vote for smart candidates. They don't. They vote for candidates that they believe is going to best represent their interests. White people would rather vote for an idiot, a complete numbskull that is going to represent their interests than voting for the black candidate that is qualified, sometimes overqualified. Look at Trump. So it's the voters in the state of Wisconsin that would rather vote for a dumb white candidate that's going to protect and represent their interests. Because, you know, in a state like Wisconsin that's 80% white, you guys are really losing your cultural and racial grip on this state. Oh, no, Wisconsin is almost a majority-minority state. Not even close. In fact, it may never be. Milwaukee, on the other hand, that's different. But if you don't like diversity, then don't come to Milwaukee. I assure you, for those of you that don't like diversity or you're scared of people of different races and ethnicities, if you don't come here, we won't miss you. In fact, we won't even know you're not here. But you're going to come here, aren't you? You're going to come to the state fair. I know you are. You're going to come to Summerfest to see Styx and REO Speedwagon and Journey. I know you are. You're going to come to the Fiserv Forum, root for a bunch of black NBA players. We know you are. We know it. But I think it's the voters. The voters will vote for someone who is anti-woman, and you don't get more anti-woman than Trump. The women that he has surrounded himself with that have really, really powerful positions, even his top advisor, I can't think of what the lady's name, she stays out of the spotlight. Steve Bannon used to have that position in the first. He's had a few of them. But whatever, Susie something maybe, Donald Trump's top political advisor. And then, of course, the Department of Homeland Security chief, Kristi Noem. You got Carolyn Levitt, who is his spokesperson, who carries water for Donald Trump and says all sorts of ridiculous lies at press conferences. Susie Wiles, thank you, X. And then you have Pam Bondi, who I believe is also in the Epstein files. At this point, they're all in the Epstein files. But if you look at all of the people that have the most influence on policy in the executive branch, a lot of them are women. That's not because Donald Trump thinks the world of women, because he wants to give them political opportunities, because they are going to take the fall. Remember, he's not going to get convicted. The Supreme Court made that decision during the last days of Joe Biden's presidency. If you were doing something, and that something is anything, as long as it's in the course and scope of you being president, Trump can kill somebody. He can have people killed. He can order the killing of people. He can send troops to American cities. He can even violate the Constitution because his default setting, and supported by the Supreme Court, says, well, he was just doing his best job as president, even though it was illegal. He is protected. But the people in his administration are not. And if somebody is going to go down, you got to think long and hard about this, and also put this in context, since Xavier really wants to talk about the Epstein files today, so I'm going to humor him a little bit. The only person that's in prison for the Epstein files is a woman. And the majority of the victims, no, all of the victims were women and children, but the only person in prison is a woman. Ain't that wild? All the men that you've seen named that are guilty, that we know are guilty. The dude that had the, I don't know all these people's names. He just testified. Steve Wexner, Wexner, Wex Waxler, whatever this guy's name is, he was like the main financier. He did all the money transactions. They said that it was something like 4,700 different financial transactions. Like he fed the money into the whole Jeffrey Epstein empire. And so he testified before Congress, and they asked him, like, dude, there's 4,700 documented transactions of $1.1 billion. He's like, I don't recall. I don't remember. Oh, I cannot recall. I do not remember. But the only person that's in prison is a woman. And so Donald Trump surrounding himself and filling his cabinet with women means that's who's going to go to prison for the constitutional and federal law violations. They are violating the federal law right now. They were supposed to release the unredacted files to Congress. And Pam Bondi said, yeah, there's 3 million pages we're never going to let you see. Donald Trump signed a federal law. He is breaking a federal law that he signed, but then so is everybody else. Just to give you an example, that is an impeachable offense. They're going to have, I wonder what the prediction markets are going to say about this. I'm guessing 300 different articles of impeachment, and that might be the under. Oh, you guys are just going to get inundated with impeachment, and here's where I think the Democrats are going to hurt themselves. They're going to focus. So half of the Democratic caucus is going to be focused on impeaching Donald Trump. 25% is going to want to maintain some of the stuff that he did so once they get in office, they can cheat too. And then the other 25% is going to pretend like nothing ever happened. And that's going to hurt us in 2028 because I don't know if there's a single Democratic presidential candidate that can handle all of this. You have to fix a broken democracy in a country where people pretty much hate everything. We hate everything. The environment, they rolled back EPA rules, so you got to focus on that. Ain't no telling what the economy is going to be. We're going to be in no less than 3 wars. No less than 3 wars. So you're going to have to dig us out of that. Oh, it's going to be a whole mess. And then the Democrats are going to want to impeach Trump. Some are going to want to maintain the newfound power that Donald Trump was able to exhibit and never be held accountable for. And then 25% of Democrats are going to be like, well, you know, we should have more national parks. I think that we need to have, I think that we should make sure that public service announcements are going out on a regular basis.
I think you're being generous.
Probably. Nobody knows what to do. There's no precedent. So there's no, this happened once before in 1805 or 1792. Oh, we were in a similar situation in 1931 or 1929. And here's what we did then to get ourselves out of this. We have never seen this before. And it's permeating every part of American society. Got the Common Council president getting his ass grabbed. That got leaked to the media. Mark Chambers and Joe Castanzamaripa almost punched each other in the face. Now she's filing a complaint against him, and she's running for statewide office because she was afraid of the black man that was yelling at her. She started it by saying, get the F out of my office. And she stole his legislation. He was like, yo, you guys had a press conference on my legislation, and you didn't invite me. She said, get the F out of my office. He was like, I am not going anywhere, ma'am. But people on the council, in the years I've been working in politics, that happens 3 times a week. Everybody's telling somebody to get the F out of their office. They yell and they scream and they get mad at each other because they're passionate about what they do, and they're all independently elected, and none of them can discipline anybody else, right? So if a council member from the 3rd district is mad at a council member from the 8th district, all they do is yell at each other. That's it. Nobody can, oh, you're fired. I'm going to fire you from being elected in the 7th district. No, you can't. Shut up. F you. But now they're all going to the police on each other. It's so sad. All right, I got to take a commercial break, I think. You got me all fired up, ready to go. Fired up, ready to go. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Will be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com. On Friday night, the Milwaukee Panthers head to Michigan to take on Horizon League Conference foe, the Detroit Mercy Titans.
And Dorcia slip it right at the top. Elam contested 3, and it doesn't matter. He buried it anyway.
20 to shoot. Elam will. No on the three. To the top. Ricochet. Dorceus. He'll take the three, and he'll bury it.
Scott Warris has the coverage starting at 5:30 p.m. on 1017 The Truth and the Milwaukee Panthers Sports Network from Learfield. Tip-off happens at 6 o'clock.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance, because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Join me every Friday at 11 a.m. for the Milwaukee Experience with Sherwin Hughes, presented by Visit Milwaukee. We're a city that knows how to celebrate, where the calendar is packed with festivals, the plates are piled high with flavor, and a lakefront sunrise sets the stage. Here in Milwaukee, every street leads to something worth savoring, a place that welcomes you with open arms and where joy is shared in bites, beats, and cheers. The Milwaukee Experience every Friday at 11 a.m. exclusively on The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, presented by Visit Milwaukee. Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your family's tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
When you're high, you feel different. Pretty obvious, right? You think different, talk different, but if you feel different, you drive different. So if you're high, just don't drive. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Happy kids heal faster, and that's why Starlight is dedicated to improving the mental well-being of sick kids across the U.S. Learn how at starlight.org.
Proud partner of your Milwaukee Bucks. One call, that's all.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
I can't stand the rain against my window. Bringing back sweet memories.
Healthcare support and personal care. African Americans are 27 to 38% of the healthcare support and personal care roles. Now remember, this is overrepresentation in these employment fields. We are, as of right now, about 12.8% of the workforce. Right, so we're just under 13% of the workforce, but we are almost 40% of healthcare support and personal care workers. Nursing assistants, average salary $38,130. Home healthcare aides, $31,020 is the average salary. You can't live off of that. You can't live off of that. $31,000. This is assuming you have no children. So that is $2,500 a month before taxes. After taxes, I'm going to be generous, that's $1,700 a month as a full-time home health care aide. That's your rent. You have no money for anything else. How are you people making it? I shouldn't be calling you people. That sounds offensive. So how are you surviving? Oh, well, I guess you got government assistance, right? And then if you add children to this equation, you make $31,020 on average as a home healthcare aide, and you're working full time. You probably get you some EBT, you're going to get you some stamps, and maybe you can get some housing assistance, and you can get the energy assistance. But there's something that is inherently unfair about that. If salaries and wages are that low in employment fields that are overrepresented by African Americans, it's costing the taxpayers a whole lot of money. And this is money that we can't invest in education and in infrastructure, etc. The next category in which African Americans are overrepresented, we're up to 33% of transportation and warehousing, bus drivers, delivery drivers, warehouse workers, and transit operators. I cannot remember the last time I had a non-black person deliver an Amazon package to my house. We used to have white bus drivers all the time. You don't see them anymore. Well, bus drivers make okay money. On average, nationally, $51,630. It's not, I mean, that's $1,000 a week. You know what I mean? You're okay, kind of, maybe. Delivery drivers average $38,510. And the warehouse workers, $36,850. Then you have government and the private sector, where we are 17%, which is a little bit higher than our overall share of the workforce. Remember, black people are 12.8% of the current American workforce, but we are 17% in the government and public sector. It's why Donald Trump signed all of those anti-DEI executive orders. You wonder why he did that? Because guess who is overrepresented in federal government employment? I'm talking about jobs that pay $90,000 or more. Black women. 300,000 African-American women lost their jobs in federal employment and things that are adjacent to federal employment by February of 2025, and that was on purpose. Another thing that Donald Trump did, because I got to make sure I give these examples so people are clear-eyed about this fella. But if people are not calling for his resignation because of the Epstein files, they called for Richard Nixon's resignation. And you know what Nixon did? He was like, all right, yeah, fine. If the American people and members of my own party are calling for my resignation, then I'm going to resign. Because Trump is doing a lot of Nixonian things except for the resignation part. Think about this for a second. No one is calling for Trump to resign. Now, obviously, they know he won't, but nobody is even mentioning that as an option. And that's actually happened before in American history. Nixon was just like, all right, I'm sorry. I'm leaving tomorrow at noon. And he got on a helicopter and literally flew away. You can see the president of the United States quitting. I mean, he left on a helicopter. When most of y'all quit your jobs, you get into a Kia or a Hyundai and you drive home. Probably stop at McDonald's. Cry a little bit. Nixon said, effective noon tomorrow, I am quitting. I am no longer your president. They're not even called. Because here's the thing. If Trump resigned, J.D. Vance would pardon him, and Trump he'd be immune. And I think here's what's crazy. I think the country would forgive him. If Trump said, I don't like this anymore, I'm messing up real bad, I don't like what's happening, but he have to make it about himself. I want to go do other things.
Not if they see them videos.
Wouldn't matter. He's immune. He's never going to get prosecuted. And I know that breaks a lot of people's hearts because there's people that get prosecuted for way less.
I'm talking about people forgiving him.
I think the people that don't like him never will. And the people that do like him always will. Are they going to say it was a conspiracy or it was AI? The excuses, I just heard somebody this week, a guy named Alan calls in. He listens all the time, calls in frequently. I mentioned something about the Epstein files. He was like, oh, yeah, I don't care about that. They don't care. But the people that care are the ones that didn't like Trump because of what he did during his first term, which I don't even remember what he did during his first term. He was just like a bad dude. He just kept firing people. He would tweet a lot. I'm sure he did horrible stuff during his first term, but I didn't like him because of that. And I don't think he got reelected. So lately, Xavier, I've been talking about my theories of how he conspired with the tech bros to manipulate just enough votes. Because dude won the popular vote, the Electoral College, and all 7 battleground states, which I don't know has ever happened before in history. And the tech bros during his first term didn't want to have nothing to do with him. They were all at his inauguration for his second term. So something to think about. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Truth Nation. Something big is coming. The Summerfest lineup you've been waiting for is dropping soon, and 101.7 The Truth is getting you ready early. From February 16th through February 19th, we're giving you a chance to win T-Mobile 9-day power passes so you can experience it all. Listen throughout the day for your shot to win and get plugged in before the official lineup announcement. Don't miss out. The countdown is on. Only on 101.7 The Truth.
The revolution starts in our mind, right? You know when Gil Scott-Heron said the revolution won't be televised? Like he didn't mean that you won't be able to watch it on TV. He means the revolution starts in your mind. You nincompoop. Y'all been running around saying that for 60 years. The revolution won't be televised and didn't even know what the hell it meant. It starts with us.
Let him cook. Watch all your favorite 101.7 The Truth shows by subscribing to 101.7 The Truth on YouTube.
I'm Angela Bassett. As a first responder on screen, I know what it means to act fast in an emergency. In real life, the same urgency can save lives, especially when it comes to a food allergy. For 33 million Americans, one bite can turn an ordinary meal into a life-threatening reaction. And too often, they don't have the one thing that could save them: epinephrine. But emergencies don't wait. And when a severe reaction happens, being prepared makes all the difference. Now, there's a needle-free option, a new way to carry epinephrine that makes it easier than ever to be ready. No needles, no hesitation, because when the unexpected happens, the best thing you can do is be ready. Know the risk, know the options. Be ready to act. Learn more at foodallergy.org/ready to act.
Pollution from trucks is a public health crisis. Diesel-burning trucks belch dangerous levels of pollution, and communities living near ports and along freight corridors breathe especially high levels of this dirty air. But this crisis has a solution. My name is Sasan Sadat, and I work for Earth Justice. I'm working to clean up our air quality, particularly for communities that bear the burden of diesel pollution. For the sake of our lungs, our health, and our climate, the future of trucking in this country has got to be zero emissions. Until then, I will never rest.
Earth Justice is a national legal nonprofit defending the environment and people's health. Earth Justice is fighting to save lives, protect our climate, and strengthen our economy through the shift to zero emissions. If clean air matters to you, visit us at earthjustice.org. Earth Justice, because the earth needs a good lawyer.
All of your favorite 101.7 The Truth content whenever you want. The Truth app has it all. The Truth is on 101.7 and 1510 WGKB Waukesha, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to hour 2 of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Talking about employment. Where are you employed? Are you currently doing the job, your dream job? When someone asked you when you were a little kid, what do you want to be when you grow up? Are you doing that job? Hell, are you even growing up? Sometimes I think I'm not growing up. Still feel like a kid. Looking at the areas in which African Americans, and I'm going to look at other races as well, where we are overrepresented in certain employment fields. The trades is on here at some point. I got a whole bunch of different categories, but right now I'm at the 4th category of overrepresentation of African Americans. So this one is more on par with our actual participation percentage in the workforce. Black people right now are about 12.8%. of the American workforce, which is pretty on par with our population because we're between 13 and 15% of the American population, depending upon how many of you fill out your census. The leisure, hospitality, and food service industries are between 13 and 15% African American. Hotel workers. I don't remember the last time I saw a black person working in a hotel. That's Maria with a lemon pledge. I just don't see a lot of black women cleaning hotel rooms. Now, granted, I don't stay in many hotels. In fact, I don't remember the last time I stayed in a hotel. Airbnb is where it's at. Because you have an actual house. Because a hotel room is a room. And sometimes they don't have refrigerators in them. I like to go out to eat when I'm out of town. If I can't put my leftovers in the fridge in the room, then I got to eat my leftovers, which is not convenient. And if I'm going to be on an extended stay out of town, which is what I prefer, I don't like getting there and you only got a day and a half. You got to turn around and come home. I like to rent a car, get a vehicle so I can move about town freely because Ubering can get very expensive, you see. And I like to go to the grocery store because you got to have some items, some snack items. You got to have some food items in the Airbnb. And it's just a lot more convenient. And I think the prices are commensurate because you can pay $250 a night for a hotel room. You also can pay $250 a night for an Airbnb and have an actual kitchen, bedrooms, maybe multiple bathrooms. So that is my preference. So I cannot personally speak to the number of African Americans and us being overrepresented in the as hotel workers, unless we're behind the scenes somewhere. Janitorial staff, food prep and event services, all of those make sense. So an example here at the 3rd Street Market Hall, and there's a variety of people who are executing janitorial duties here at the 3rd Street Market Hall. There's a lot of people that are cleaning the tables and putting away the trays and doing the things, but the only ones I see are black. Average pay in African American dominated sectors of employment. Health care support between $30,000 and $39,000 a year. Transportation and warehousing between $37,000 and $52,000 a year. Leisure and hospitality for African American workers between $29,000 and $35,000 a year. And this is for full-time work, mind you. Public sector, non-professional, between $45,000 and $55,000 a year. Now let's compare that to white, Asian, and Latino-dominated industries. Are you ready? Which one should we do first? Let's do the whites. Hey, black people, question for you. How do we feel about white people? No, I'm serious. And don't be racist when you respond. Have we improved our relationship with them? Remember the George Floyd stuff? They were out there. Remember? They had Black Lives Matter signs in their yard for a couple of months. How are we with the anti-Trump whites? Do we like them? How about the liberal whites, progressive ones? Are we cool with any flavor of white? What about nope, never mind. Not evangelicals. Not good. What about blue collar? No, they're racist too. A lot of our educators, white teachers are having sex with kids. I'm just trying to assess where we are, and maybe we need to work on our relationship. Do they need to work on their relationship with us or us with them? Who needs to come to Jesus? Because I don't think that we have anything to apologize for when it comes to the whites. I mean, a few stolen cars here and there, but you got insurance. You know what I mean? I don't even know if I want them to apologize, because when they do, it seems awkward. And trust me when I tell you, and I don't want anyone to get offended by this. I always have to say that because I'm about to offend somebody. We know that we can't tell the difference between the good white folks and the bad white folks because they dress the same. A lot of times have similar haircuts. The white women always are getting the lip injections, though, whether they're racist or not. I find that so fascinating. I did a Snapchat post about that. The filters, stop it, because you don't look like that. Why are you doing the filters? Even just on a post where someone is just like, let me tell you about my day. Why are you filtering your face? You look like a cartoon. But then they're doing the lip injections, which is crazy. You guys remember when white women didn't have any lips whatsoever, and they were damn proud of it? Now, they all got Kardashian lips. It's ridiculous. But they know that we can't tell the good ones from the bad ones, because even the white people that appear to be decent and nice are so incredibly racist. And so, because they may listen to my show or they may be familiar with me and my content, and depending upon when you listen and the mood I'm in, I'm either Black Panther or I'm tailgating with white people on the back of a pickup truck. You never know with me. I can swing to many different directions of love and affection for whites or outright black man anger. And they'll come up to me and say, Sherwin, I'm using my white privilege for good. And thank you for doing that. I don't know what that means. I don't know what kind of effect you're having. But you guys don't have to say that. And I don't want any white person feeling guilty for being white, because you didn't do a lot of this stuff. Now you benefit from it. Now there's a level of responsibility that we all should take for the privileges and advantages that we have, because by helping somebody else, you don't necessarily lose your privilege. In fact, you might even put yourself in a more solidified privileged situation. So I didn't pollute the environment to where we have climate change. I didn't do it on my own. It wasn't my fault. I mean, yeah, did I throw away a bunch of plastic? Yep, still do. What? What do you want from me? They don't pick my recycling up as often as they should. Don't look at me for that. I got to throw that stuff in the garbage. Also, only 30% of what we recycle in the city of Milwaukee actually gets recycled. All that stuff goes into landfills, but I digress. But I'm not responsible for the buildup of carbon emissions. I didn't do it on my own. Yes, have I driven gas-powered vehicles for 30 years? Yes. Is my electric vehicle, did it probably pollute the environment more than a gas-powered engine? Maybe. But don't I have an obligation and responsibility to be more cognizant and conscious of my carbon footprint? Yeah, I know that you didn't either. All of us didn't make the environment bad. In fact, it probably started before they had any kind of environmental regulations and the smokestacks and all of the industry that produced all of the soot. Like, that had a huge thing to do with it. And then you probably got 1 billion cars on the road. So we're not individually totally responsible, but we have an obligation to mitigate the damage for future generations. White people, I know that you didn't own slaves because your family was way too poor. I know that. But some of the ingrained and inherent benefits that you got put people like myself at a slight disadvantage. In some cases, a great disadvantage. And I know you didn't own slaves. You don't have to come and tell me how poor your family was, because I can just look at you and tell now. So you don't have to apologize for that, but what are you doing with the access that you have in spaces that we as black people have no access to? Do you defend black people? Do you stick up for black people? Or do you let your aunts and uncles, cousins and nieces use the N-word, especially your uncles, aunts, cousins, nieces, and nephews that might work in HR, that might have the power to employ people? Do you just let them get a pass when they use the N-word? Do you do that? Because that is where you're supposed to use your white privilege. Now, I don't know what good it's going to do, but far too often, white people will make excuses for their racist family members. Now, those same white people might be out protesting and marching for us, but if you allow your family to get away with overt exhibitions of racism, you're not doing us any good. I'd rather you go march with your family and have a conversation with them instead of getting out in the streets with us. But I've always felt some kind of way about that. And the example that I used, I know this is a sensitive one for some of you, in Kenosha when Jacob Blake was shot in the back by a Kenosha police officer. And the number of people that aren't from Kenosha, never been to Kenosha, would never go to Kenosha, but went down there to quote unquote protest. And then, the George Floyd situation was still very relevant and very present. But I never like when people leave their places and their spaces where they know work still needs to get done to go somewhere else to take advantage of the chaos. Because guess what happens? People like Kyle Rittenhouse show up, 17-year-old kid that had an AR-15 that he shouldn't have had. And guess who dropped him off? His mama, because he didn't even have a car. And he went down there and he shot people and he killed people. He went down there to sow chaos. If there is an egregious violation of someone's civil rights in a particular city and you're not from that city, don't go. Because you're not familiar with the people, you're not familiar with the culture, and you very well may violate and disrespect the order of that place because you're not from there. If something happens in Milwaukee, and something probably will, if you're listening from somewhere else and you really want to get involved, then send money, but stay at home. We know how to handle situations that involve our city, our people, our law enforcement, etc. We know how to do that. We don't need a whole bunch of outside agitators, because if the outside agitators come in, we don't know who is a plant that's designed to sow more chaos. And we had a whole bunch of that during George Floyd. Come to find out that there's a few folks that were breaking into buildings and doing looting and stealing and all sorts of stuff. They weren't from here. They were agents of chaos, taking advantage of anarchy. We don't like that. I said all that to say this. How do we feel about the whites? We got to coexist with them, especially considering in these white-dominated fields, statistically, if you are black, your manager is white. Examples: management, finance, engineering, executive leadership, skilled trades, and construction management. Median pay for white-dominated industries. Are you ready for this? You ready? Management, $89,000 a year. Finance, $92,000 a year. Engineering, where white people are overrepresented in the workforce, $95,000 a year. And construction management, $104,000 a year. Let me give you an African-American comparison, where we as black people are overrepresented in the workforce. Healthcare support, that's $30,000 to $39,000 a year. Transportation and warehousing, $37,000 to $52,000 a year. Leisure and hospitality, African-Americans average between $29,000 and $35,000 a year. Public sector, these are government jobs, but non-professional, between $45,000 and $55,000 a year. White-dominated industries, management, $89,000 a year on average, meaning half of the salaries are higher than that. Finance, on average, $92,000 a year. Engineering, $95,000 a year. Construction management, $104,000 a year. I know what some of you are saying. Well, black people just go and apply for those jobs. Doesn't exactly work like that. Takes a special type of education, and some of you would agree that the current incarnation of public education in this city may not be providing a large enough share of children the foundational education that they need to go on to be a manager in finance, be an engineer, or manage a construction site. That's why I bring up education so often, because it is at the root of the causes of our lower incomes. We'll take a break, come back. Wait till I get to the Asians. They make more money than white people. Whites, how did you let that happen? I mean, they make, on average, an Asian person makes substantially more than a white person. Asian supremacy. Word up. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Listen Fridays to Truth in the Afternoon with Dr. Ken Harris during Black History Month for Dr. Ken's Trivia. It's not just questions, it's culture, facts they don't teach you, and a few stories that matter. We'll test what you know and teach each other something new along the way. Lock in your Fridays in February. Be ready to call in and bring your brain with you. Dr. Ken's Trivia, Friday in February on Truth in the Afternoon with me, Dr. Ken Harris on 1017 The Truth, YouTube, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Grab the dial smile and crank it up, baby, because Potawatomi Casino Hotel Milwaukee is spinning its Winning Hits collection. Over the next 3 months, you could win a share of over $1 million in prizes. On top of thousands in cash and reward play, you could win one of 3 new Ford vehicles in the grand finale drawings on March 27th. Just play with your rewards card to earn entries. Press play on the Winning Hits collection, only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Hey, y'all, it's 1017 The Truth's Rhea Riley for Sweet Talks Medical Spa in Menominee Falls. Skip the sterile clinical office feel. Sweet Talk stays on the cutting edge of beauty and wellness innovations in a vibrant, playful space promoting self-love and confidence. Sweet Talk specializes in a range of treatments, including injectables, medical-grade skincare, weight loss, hormone therapies, and more. Not sure where to start? Sweet Talks offers comprehensive wellness consultations to create a customized plan centered around you. Because at Sweet Talks, your goals are their goals. Learn more at sweettalks.com.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The award-winning 1017 The Truth is the proud home of Milwaukee Panthers basketball. Panthers basketball is back in action tomorrow night as UWM travel to take on the Detroit Mercy Titans in a Horizon League showdown. Scott Warris has the coverage starting at 5:30 p.m. on 1017 The Truth and the Milwaukee Panthers Sports Network from Learfield. Tip-off is set for 6 p.m. Right. So you said we going to war, X? We about to launch some
within
strikes?
the next 10 days, I guess.
Now, you also were telling me that Iran has some compromising video of the President of the United States that they are threatening to release?
Yeah, allegedly they have some videos of him doing some stuff he's not supposed to do with, I guess, some children. So I guess we'll see the unredacted stuff from another country before we see it from our own country, you know? Not saying that I want to see that.
We won't see it. I don't think we'll see it. I don't think so. And if we did... All right, let's say, don't imagine. Let's say the video is produced and placed on some social media platform, right? And people see it. And let's say it's verified. Some independent organization or agency verifies the authenticity of the video that shows Donald Trump, probably a while ago. He's going to look younger, but his hair is going to look the same. And let's say that is shown globally. Nothing will happen. Somebody going to go and arrest him? What's he going to say? Oh, no, you guys got me. Oh, I'm going to quit now.
Yeah.
Notice J.D. Vance, they're not even readying for the potential that Donald Trump could and should resign. Because if it gets worse, because the Republican Party it's going to be tough for them to recover. And Trump is so intimately connected and tied to just about every single elected Republican, because there's less than 10 that will come out and speak truth about Donald Trump. And when they do, they'll say something like, well, I sure don't like the tariffs. None of the sexual assault stuff, none of the involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. No, it's none of that. I do disagree. No, listen to one of these Republicans that actually comes out against Donald Trump, and the liberal broadcast, they go crazy. We finally have Republicans that are willing to stand up against Trump. Roll the footage, Dana. Congressman, you just said on the floor of the House that you are very much against Donald Trump. Hi, yeah. I think he uses Air Force One a lot, and the gas is expensive, and so everybody in the town I represent, they're always real timid and scared. Yeah, literally everybody lost their job because Donald Trump is upending industry with tariffs, and I don't love that. There you have it, Dana. Republicans are now coming out standing firm against Donald Trump. Sir, do you have anything to say about Jeffrey Epstein and the Epstein files? No, but the tariffs they're not fun. That's really, he is hurting the brand of the Republican Party, but I also think that this is not a policy-making body. It is a political apparatus that is designed to protect one person because he is letting white supremacy run amok. And white supremacy, we need to be clear about this, it will kill white people. If you're a white person that sticks up for or defends the undesirables, the illegals, the brown people and black people, they will kill you too. The guys that shot and killed Alex Pretty, it's two of them, both Latino. Let that sink in. Those same Latino guys, if they were just driving around in one of these cities where ICE has a presence and they weren't wearing their full regalia showing that they were members of CBP or of ICE, they could get detained too, but they are the ones that killed a white person. And here's what's so confusing about this, because I know that there are racists. They used to have like their own groups, like the Proud Boys and Boogaloo Boys. They've all joined ICE now, so they don't have those identities anymore. They now have all joined ICE. But if you were like a real racist, like I remember racists, like I remember going to Northridge Mall back as a kid, and you would see actual real skinheads, and you would look at the colors of their laces, right? Black laces meant one thing, red laces meant something, and white laces it means the crimes they have committed to earn their shoelace color. And those are the things that we would look for. And they were just like violently racist, right? But one thing that a racist would never stand for is a non-white person killing a white person. Even if there's a political divide between an Alex Pretty and some of these devout racists, they would never stand for two Latinos shooting and killing another white man in his back, and they're not saying anything. So this is even bigger than racial politics. They will enlist anybody in their war, even if you have to kill white people, even if you have to be Latino and Hispanic. That's the part that's hard to articulate and hard to explain, because a real true racist would be like, yeah, I didn't necessarily agree with Alex Pretty, this racist would say, but I certainly don't want Latinos and Hispanics, and those are not the words they would use to describe a Latino or a Hispanic. I certainly don't want a Latino, a mongrel from south of the border killing a good white person. They didn't say anything about that, because when they released those names and I read them on the air, I was as shocked as anybody else. Guerrero and Martinez, or Alberto and Gutierrez or Morales or whatever their names were, but very, very Latino, very Hispanic sounding names are the individuals who were named in murdering Alex Pretty. And now you don't hear nothing about them. There's no investigation. Now there will be. Last count, I think it was 9, but then we found out very recently, last 24 or 36 hours, that ICE killed somebody else in 2025, but their name just became public in the last day and a half. I think those people at some point during a Democratic administration will probably stand trial, but we're going to need a Democratic president that's going to pick an attorney general that is willing to go back and prosecute all of these cases, and there will be more of them. We're only a year into this dude's term. It feels like it's coming to an end soon. It'll almost be over. We're still in the first quarter. We just got into the second quarter. If you want to use football terms, we have so much more presidency to go. And I cannot imagine where Americans are going to be, where our economy is going to be, where the democracy is going to be. They just seized the voting machines in Fulton County, which is Atlanta. February 10th, the FBI seized voting machines and ballots from Fulton County. What do you think they're going to do with those? And I have a sneaking suspicion that more of that is going to take place. Of all the things that have yet to transpire, here's what... Because now I'm not really shocked anymore. I'm expecting the worst of the worst. What's more disheartening is nobody can do anything about it. You can't stop them. City of Milwaukee, they're having a whole bunch of meetings. They had a town hall meeting, I believe, with county board supervisors preparing citizenry and having this town hall about what happens if ICE comes here. There's nothing we can do. They have jurisdiction everywhere. Here's how you can prepare yourself. You know how you prepare yourself? Get a whistle. Can you believe that? That is the strongest offense that we have against people being snatched up with no due process. Let me be clear about this, too. Not that any of you even care. So I'm going to get back to talking about jobs. They're not even deporting anybody, because if they were, they would tell us. This administration loves to brag about campaign promises it kept. And if I recall correctly, they wanted to deport 11 million people. I don't know what kind of timeline they set for themselves, but Trump was campaigning against Kamala Harris, saying these 11 million people that came in during the Biden administration, during these open borders, we're going to get them all out of here. And they even set a daily goal. They need like 3,000 apprehensions every single day. So if they were meeting that goal and or if they were on track to deport 11 million people, every single night we would hear the number. Donald Trump would give a press conference 3 times a month talking about where our numbers are of deported. We've got 12,000 that we sent back. And in the early days, they fooled us because they show people getting on cargo planes, right? Handful of people, 6, 7 people, 8, 9 people, because we have that deal with the presidents of El Salvador, one of those countries where Donald Trump made friends with that dictator-esque El Salvador. President's 30 years old, loves Donald Trump, and I guess that we gave this guy $6 million to take our detainees to the CCOT, this concentration camp down in El Salvador. You don't see that anymore. It would actually make the news. The number of, illegals that were here, that were captured, that were rounded up by Customs and Border Patrol and by ICE, and they get on the cargo planes, and we would be deporting them. They're not deporting anybody. They are building additional facilities and some of these private prisons where we used to be. There is some good news in some of the information I have here. The African-American male prison population, since its peak in 2005, is down 48%. Shout out to the black men for not going to jail anymore. But those prison beds, because of those contracts that those private prison corporations have with state and federal governments, they need people in those facilities per the contracts that were signed with the federal government, the Bureau of Prisons, and state departments of corrections. So instead of deporting people, they are detaining them. And let me tell you how this goes against your economic interests. If somebody is detained and there's no likelihood they're going to get out, because we're not deporting them, we're using their labor, you can make an inmate work for free. Or maybe you give them $1 a day, but probably for free, because they have no due process and there's no justice afforded to these people. Considering they were never even convicted of a crime, it also should be noted that being caught in this country, quote unquote, illegally is a damn misdemeanor. It's not even, it's like a civil forfeiture. It's not even an offense in which somebody can get a felony, unless you already were a felon, and a lot of them aren't. 86% of the people that they have been apprehending have no criminal conviction whatsoever. So if you can round all these people up and put them in these federal prisons and detain them indefinitely, and you can require them to work, that means that some of these companies like Cargill, like Walmart, like McDonald's, Victoria's Secrets, and they're about as crooked as you can get, because I guess their former CEO was helping to recruit girls for Epstein Island, but they also were known to use prison labor. I need you to think about this for a second. Why do you think they haven't raised the minimum wage? For what? For what? To pay you? So you can make more money? Never. We'll just wait until you commit a crime, you'll go to prison, and now you will work for free. Why would I waste my money paying you $10, $15, $20 an hour? Ugh, you're insane. No. Wait for you to commit a crime, go to lockup. Now I'm going to make you work. And the things that you produce will be sold to American corporations. So when you're hearing about all of these layoffs of employees, and stop saying because, the stores are closing in the central city, it's because black people are stealing. No, it's not. It's because they don't want to pay you. Because the more people that get detained, there's going to be a direct correlation. Trust me on this. There's a list of 30 companies that were laying off like minimum 2,000 as much as 50,000 employees, okay? The more people that are detained that they can force to work and make products and produce for these corporations, the more layoffs they're going to transpire. Because if we can give more value to our shareholders by laying off salaried employees, I just gave you the salaries. The average white worker working in management makes $90,000. Imagine if you can save 90 plus benefits, $150,000 per management employee, and then you can reshuffle your organization to where all of the products that you need. You don't even need managers anymore, because if the products are being made in prison and you're paying the prison, what, $50 a day for all that production, why would you hire somebody? Prison labor, which is slavery, goes against the economic interests of the country. They're not going to create jobs. Now, of course, we want our governments to do that. But if you have this administration currently holding the reins of the American economy, they would rather use detainee labor than give you a job. Have you noticed Donald Trump is not saying a word about job creation? And Republicans love that statistic. We've created 10,000 jobs. And then I think that, so it lost 1 million jobs in the last calendar year. I saw something where they said they were going to create, there's an expectation of 561,000 jobs, and they create 181,000 or something. But yeah, anyways, take a break, come back. Oh, I was going to talk about the Asians. Where are the Asians in all of this? Are they just mysteriously quiet? Where are the Asian activists? Well, I guess we don't need any, especially if I read the average salary that an Asian American makes every single year. They are doing surprisingly well. You're listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. I'll be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
One of the best things about the holidays is going home and spending time with family and friends. One of the worst things, getting there. Holiday travel can be tough, especially driving. If you or a loved one needs help after an accident this holiday season, we're here for you. Our top-notch team of experienced professionals is available 24/7. Be safe this holiday season. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Do you hear that? And that? And that? Those are the sounds of a healthy and vibrant community. And to this United Way volunteer, nothing sounds better. They're the sounds of children being given greater chances to succeed in school. The sounds of neighbors receiving the support needed to overcome challenges, both big and small. They're the sounds of families gaining access to quality health care and nutritious food for their tables. And they're the sounds of members of our community who've benefited from United Way's financial education programs. See, wherever there's a need in our communities, there's a United Way. People working together to respond and growing the good for everyone. United is the way. So join us by getting involved or giving back. Learn more at unitedway.org.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other. Leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Truth Nation, something big is coming. The Summerfest lineup you've been waiting for is dropping soon, and 1017 The Truth is getting you ready early. From February 16th through February 19th, which is today, we're giving you a chance to win T-Mobile 9-day power passes so you can experience it all. Listen throughout the day for your shot to win and get plugged in before the official lineup announcement. Don't miss out. The countdown is on, only on 1017 The Truth. So go to Summerfest, everybody. We're going to give you 9 tickets so you can go all 9 days. This one comes from the Brennan Center. When Congress passed the budget bill on July 1st, 2025, it made U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement the largest federal law enforcement agency, more than tripling its annual budget. The bill included an unprecedented $45 billion for ICE to build new immigration and detention centers that will house both adults and children. As of September 7th of last year, there were 58,766 people in ICE detention, compared with the 37,395 being held at the same time the previous year. The new funds could potentially lead to a doubling of detention capacity. Let me pause right there. If we're deporting them, why are we building facilities? Anybody ever stop to think about that? We're going to deport the people. We don't want them here because they're taking our jobs. No, we're going to incarcerate them, confine them, and they're going to take your jobs, and they're not going to get a wage. In August, the Washington Post reported on internal documents indicating that ICE should have the capacity to hold more than 107,000 people by January 2026. In addition to funding for detention, Congress provided an additional $30 billion for arrest and deportation, bringing the total up to $75 billion. Part of those funds are earmarked for hiring and training additional ICE agents and transporting detainees not out of the country, but between detention centers. For years, private prison companies have been an important partner for ICE as the government carries out its immigration agenda. ICE contracts with corporations to build and run detention facilities and to transport undocumented individuals who are in custody. The two biggest private prison companies in America are CoreCivic and Geo Group. The companies are poised to expand their roles as well as their profits thanks to a new influx of federal funding. As noted last November, as we stood on the precipice of an explosion of mass detention, it is critical to acknowledge that if these corporations didn't exist, it would be difficult for the federal government to execute its plans. And when this giant infusion of funding for ICE ramps up the U.S. government's capacity to detain, transport, and deport people, it will be difficult, if not impossible, to dismantle. Potentially adding 10,000 new ICE detention officers, creating 50,000 or more detention beds, and adding fleets of vehicles such as buses and vans to the nation's detention operations will create an infrastructure that is unparalleled and unprecedented in America. The funding creates vested interests for corporations that provide detention, transport, healthcare. Oh, I didn't even think about the healthcare dollars. And security services and some local communities that benefit from associated jobs and tax dollars, making it even harder to dismantle. So they are creating a detention, basically mass incarceration 2.0, and it looks like it's going to be permanent because now I'm starting to think, what Democratic president would come in and say, no, we're going to take away all the detention centers and because we won't be able to afford to deport all the people. It might be 1 million people detained by the time Trump leaves office, if he even leaves. Asian-dominated industries, examples, tech, software engineering, medicine, pharmacy, data science, and finance, the median pay. These are industries in which Asian Americans are overrepresented. You ready for this? Software developers, on average, make $132,000 a year. Pharmacists, $129,000 a year. Data scientists, and these are fields in which Asian Americans are overrepresented. Data scientists, $124,000 a year. and physicians, $229,000 per year on average. The weighted average of Asian Americans and their employment in the United States is between, on average, $95,000 and $40,000. Let's look at Latino-dominated industries in which they are overrepresented in these industries relative to their population in America. It looks like it is construction, labor, agriculture, food service, landscaping, and manufacturing. You know, all the fun stuff. When I grow up, I want to be a farm laborer. I want to pick cabbage. Median pay for construction for a Latino construction labor, $44,900. Landscaping, $35,430. They're very good at it, though. Is that racist to say? They're very good. They landscape so very well. Food service, $29,500. Manufacturing production, $42,200 for Latino-dominated industries. The weighted average of Latino employment in the United States in industries in which they are overrepresented is between $35,000 and $48,000 per year. Let's do some side-by-side comparisons, shall we? At the bottom of the income salary scale, for industries in which African Americans are overrepresented. So these categories of race, that is, these folks are overrepresented in those categories of employment that I mentioned earlier. Average salary for an African American between $38,000 and $46,000. We're at the bottom. Latino workers between $35,000 and $48,000. White workers, average salary in industries in which they are overrepresented, starting salaries are $80,000, averaging at a high of $100,000, and Asian workers $95,000 to $140,000. There is literally a $100,000 difference in salary between African American workers and Asian workers in this country, and about a $75,000 difference between the average African American worker and the average white worker. Looks like black folks need to get a part-time job. Looks like need to get some other income. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
Don't touch that dial. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 101.7thetruth.com.
Truth Nation, mark your calendars for Friday, February 20th for the second annual Truth Community Awards, hosted by Homer Blow and yours truly, Bailey Coleman. Celebrating individuals making a real difference in our community. Tickets are on sale now. Visit 1017thetruthAwards.com to learn more. The Truth Community Awards are sponsored by Milwaukee College Prep, the Milwaukee Bucks Foundation, Gruber Law Offices, Steinhoffels, Cousin Subs, and 3rd Street Market Hall.
Tired of managing your rental property? Or maybe you just don't know where to start? At Odom Investments and Property Management, our professional team handles everything from tenant placement to maintenance and rent collection, so you don't have to. Let us take the stress out of property management. Call 855-ODOM-WAY or 855-636-6929 and experience the Odom Way today.
Life's better with Drive My Way from American Family Insurance, because we know it's more than just a car. It's your escape pod, your adventure mobile, your memory maker. And we help protect the dreams that drive you. Personalize what you pay for auto insurance and you could save between 10 and 35%. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Unsafe driving behaviors may increase your rate. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 101.7 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about 4 walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your families tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTS housing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The award-winning 1017 The Truth proudly celebrates Black excellence and the most monumental moments in our history. All month, we're honoring the voices, the stories, and the achievements that have shaped our past, empowered our present, and continue to inspire our future. Tune in for Dr. Ken's Trivia, spotlighting powerful facts, and Tori Lowe's Our Voices, Our Stories, amplifying the youth. Tune in all month long as 1017 The Truth celebrates Black History Month. 1017 The Truth's celebration of Black History Month is proudly sponsored by Educators Credit Union and Tayback Law. And they say, get Tayback for the payback. All right, then. I have some other information I'd like to share with you. For a very long time, we were concerned about the criminal justice system and its very heavy hand on African Americans. And a lot of times it was a contentious subject because you would have people that would just use the statistics with no context. Well, look at all the crimes that black people are committing and their incarceration rate is justified. Just know that when you over-police a community, you are absolutely going to get more arrests and you're going to get more convictions. You're also going to inconvenience a lot of very innocent people. And I can just take a snapshot of what the 1994 crime bill did. And it's more complicated than just, oh, it was a racist bill. Black people wanted that bill. And every time I mention the 1994 crime bill, I have to put that context in. Now, we saw that it went way too far. But if you're a hardworking African-American family and you lived in a majority black neighborhood and there were some people that were selling drugs and there was gang violence and you were worried about your children being recruited into these gangs and you were worried about stray bullets, you wanted your elected officials to do something and do something fast. Here's the problem. Whenever we as African-Americans are in favor of the heavy hand of criminal justice coming down, there's always a politician willing to oblige us. And they did. And then a generation later, we're like, oh, snap. It went really, really far and incarcerated too many people, and it took even more dads out of the home, and it destroyed families and communities. And now you have a rise of single motherhood because the black men who were once industrially employed were unemployed. They sold drugs. Now they go to prison forever, 3 strikes laws, all of the other things. And so now when we look back, we're like, oh, well, we clearly went too far with that. But it should be noted that black people wanted to live in safe communities, and we thought that by supporting a heavy-handed crime bill, which Bill Clinton signed into law, but Bernie Sanders supported it, Joe Biden supported it, but we supported it as well. So let's not take that part out of our discussion of the 1994 crime bill. Good news is, from the peak of African-American male incarceration, our incarceration rates have gone down because we have revised how we look at the criminal justice system. But just know this part. The more law enforcement you put in a concentrated area, the more crimes ultimately are going to be discovered. The more people are going to be investigating crimes. The more people are going to be locked up. And if you look at what ICE and Customs and Border Patrol is doing right now, they're grabbing a lot of innocent people, aren't they? The criminal justice system in the 1994 crime bill did the same thing. Hey, if you were in the house and somebody had dope in the house or they were selling dope in the basement, everybody got arrested. And maybe you had a little weed in your pocket. Now, remember, this was back before marijuana prohibition had been lifted. Some people were innocent. They still got caught up in the dragnet of the heavy hand of the criminal justice system. Anybody in the house was getting arrested. Just like now, they're pulling people over. They're smashing people's windows, pulling out American citizens and detaining them, and then it takes hours to prove that you're an American citizen. Imagine that. Now, I am not expecting to see Minneapolis-style ICE and Customs and Border Patrol enforcement like that here in the city of Milwaukee, but I know this is going to be a violent summer. I can tell, I can feel it. I can see the tempers are already short, even amongst individuals who are supposed to operate with decorum. Have you guys noticed this? That everybody is mad, everybody is angry. There's like a major mental health crisis going on, and I know some of it can be attributed to what is happening with this Trump administration. I know it is. Everybody is on edge. Everybody is nervous. Plus, there's a lot of economic instability. Problem is, the Trump administration is not being honest and forthcoming, telling us how bad the American economy is really getting. The home foreclosure crisis is up 32% year over year. They're not mentioning anything about that. And the problem is if they don't mention anything about it, then Congress will not act. And Congress will not put more regulations on banks or help to mitigate some of these home foreclosures, because we do not want a repeat of 2007 and 2008. And let me tell you why real quick. The most consistent transfer of money or consistent income every single month, if you look at all transfers of money that exist in the United States in a 30-day period, the most consistent transfer of money from one person to an industry is Americans paying their mortgages. We are very good at that. Better than 90% every single month of Americans pay their mortgages either on time or early. It's a really fantastic statistic when the economy is on an even keel, 90%. What Wall Street did is it said, okay, we have money coming into these banks from people paying their mortgages on time or early. We can then package all of these mortgages into investments on Wall Street, and we can sell them, because we know that money, principal plus interest, every single month, better than 90% of Americans pay their mortgages on time. So Wall Street bundles these mortgages into new investment instruments called tranches. This is what happened in 2007, 2008. And what happened? People stopped paying their mortgages and the entire market fell. The entire American economy collapsed. Now, there were regulations put in preventing Wall Street from packaging American mortgages into investment instruments, and they put regulations on that because of what we saw happen with the Great Recession of 2007, 2008, that Barack Obama did a great job of cleaning up. Him and Joe Biden, mind you, created 15 million jobs during their 2 terms in office. Very impressive. But regulations were necessary because we didn't want American mortgages packaged with other risky investment instruments, because in the event the economy turns and Americans stop paying their mortgages, the entire economy would collapse. Guess what regulation was repealed? The one that prevented Wall Street from packaging our mortgages with other risky investment instruments. Guess what is happening right now? People are stopped paying their mortgages. And we are headed for the exact same thing. But because we have so many wealthy people that are dominating executive policy right now, they want your house to be foreclosed on. They do. They want the stock market that may hold your assets for your 401k and your retirements and your pensions. They want it to bottom out. And you may say, oh, Sherwin, that's just ridiculous. Hear me out. When the stock market drops, you can buy stock in companies for pennies on the dollar. Recessions are where people get rich. If your home gets foreclosed on because your job is laying off people or industries are disappearing and going belly up and you are unable to pay your mortgage, banks don't like to own homes. They're really bad at it, because guess what banks have to do? Banks have to cut the grass. Banks have to remove the snow. If they own the foreclosed property, and banks don't like to do that. They don't like to spend money maintaining homes and removing snow and cutting the grass. Banks also have to pay property taxes. Oh, banks hate that. So what they'll do is they will dump those houses for really, really cheap prices. Who do you think is going to buy those houses? We aren't. Between hedge funds, real estate conglomerates, and Barada, that's who's going to buy the foreclosed homes. And then guess what? The economy is going to get itself back together again, likely under a Democratic president, because that's when the economy always does better. And that house that was for sale by the bank because it was a foreclosure for $30,000, now Barada owns it or a hedge fund owns it, and now you're paying $1,900 to $2,700 a month in rent. Your mortgage on the $35,000 house, had you bought it as a foreclosure, would be, I don't know, $308 a month, give or take. Now you're paying 10 times that. It's funny how the economy works. And that is exactly what we are headed toward. Oh, and we're going to war, too, with Iraq. Iran? Okay, I get them mixed up because we like to go to war with the both of them. Okay, that's all good to know.
We might go back to Afghanistan, though.
Oh, that'll be fun. We haven't been there in a while. We miss those people. We miss the Afghanistan people. It also should be noted that when northern Afghanistan was the most militarily occupied region on the planet, the heroin epidemic and the amount of opium and poppy that flowed out of northern Afghanistan was at its highest level when it was occupied by American soldiers. I'll let you put 2 and 2 together on your own. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be back for Hour 3.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Lloyd Barbie wasn't just a civil rights leader in Milwaukee. He was the man who forced the city to change its laws. In the 1960s, when segregation shaped housing, schools, and political power, Barbie didn't stop at protest. He went to court, and he won. His landmark lawsuit against Milwaukee public schools proved that segregation wasn't accidental, but deliberate, making Milwaukee one of the first northern cities legally challenged over school segregation. That victory exposed how inequality thrived, not just through prejudice, but through policy and planning. Later, as an alderman, Barbie helped pass Wisconsin's first fair housing ordinance, opening doors that had been legally closed for generations, and setting a model other cities would later follow. Barbie believed civil rights weren't symbolic. They were enforceable. Lloyd Barbie showed that real justice comes from persistence, strategy, and the courage to make institutions answer.
This Black History Moment is sponsored by Educators Credit Union and Tayback Law.
Did you know that for 80 years, Paralyzed Veterans of America has been a lifeline for our nation's veterans with spinal cord injuries and diseases like MS and ALS, and all people with disabilities? In just the last 12 months, PVA has funded research of the first non-addictive pain medication in over a decade, partnered with an award-winning sports anchor to fight for accessible medical care for women veterans, ensured all women with disabilities feel seen and empowered with help from a top cosmetic company. And that doesn't even include what PVA have done over the last 80 years, like secured the passage of the Americans with Disabilities Act, pioneered wheelchair basketball, helped design iconic landmarks, made the DC Metro a model transit system, and wrote and distributed resources in over 60 countries in 4 languages. None of this would be possible without your help. Every breakthrough, every battle won, and every life impacted is driven by you. Visit PVA.org to learn more.
Dad's gonna be far side, good.
What should I do with my dress?
Do little wiggles. The slate's coming in. What does it feel like when you're down or having a bad day?
It feels sad, like you just don't want to do anything.
All my little emotions in my head is just running crazy. I don't know what to do.
As a teacher or coach, do you ever feel overwhelmed supporting kids' mental health?
I had never experienced players being so down that they can't even participate.
He's just in tears in the huddle. I didn't know what to do.
Teachers need tons of help.
Kids Mental Health Foundation offers educational materials to help guide conversations with our students.
It's so important that we are constantly educating ourselves.
It's the same as the CPR class to me. We're trying to save a life here.
The Kids Mental Health Foundation has free tools and information developed by experts because kids' mental health starts with all of us. Scan the QR code or check out kidsmentalhealthfoundation.org to get started.
Listen to the home of the 5K Gruber Cash Giveaway. 1017 FM, 1510 AM, WGKB Waukesha, and W269DL Milwaukee, a locally owned Good Karma brand station. More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Welcome to Hour 3 of The Truth with me, Sherwin Hughes, and join me every Friday at 11 a.m., exactly 24 hours from now, for the Milwaukee Experience with Sherwin Hughes, presented by our friends over at Visit Milwaukee. This is a city that knows how to celebrate, where the calendar is packed with festivals and plates are piled high with flavor. and lakefront sunrises set the stage for unforgettable days. Here in Milwaukee, every street leads to something worth savoring. It's a place that welcomes you with open arms. The Milwaukee Experience every Friday at 11 a.m. exclusively on The Truth with Sherwin Hughes, presented by Visit Milwaukee. Travel and tourism is actually one of our top industries here in the city of Milwaukee. Whoever would have thunk it? Have a lot of conventions here. Northwestern Mutual does their annual convention here. Those are some of the most beautiful women I ever seen in my life. I think Northwestern Mutual hires on beauty. No, that's something else. 10, 11,000 people flooding the streets of the city of Milwaukee every summer. Oh, it's a joyous occasion. The Democrats had their political convention here in 2020, mostly virtual, but we still got credit for it. Republicans ruined our city and put checkpoints everywhere. I mean, it looks like the ideal Trump world when they had the RNC here in 2024. Very annoying. It also was pretty much an economic bust. But the Republicans had their convention here with us. We got credit for that, too. The Democrats had their convention right down the road in 2024 in Chicago, but Kamala Harris did something that was unprecedented. Instead of accepting the nomination in the convention host city of Chicago, her and Tim Walz drove 90 miles north and she accepted the nomination of her party in Milwaukee. We shouldn't forget that. Like, that's a big deal for us. And I don't blame her. Screw Chicago. She's like, I'm going to Milwaukee where the people are better. And we have better pizza. I have feelings about that. They didn't like Kamala Harris' stance with Israel. And one day I'll have a conversation about it. Not today, but we were trying to warn people because one of my very, very good friends, I consider him a brother. Him and his younger brother. His younger brother is deceased. And they led a lot of pro-Palestinian marches and protests. And they were just as mad at the Democrats as they were at the Republicans. And a lot of them vowed to not vote for Kamala Harris. And I tried my level best. I'm like, it is going to be worse if Trump gets reelected. We don't care, Sherwin. We're not going to vote for her. All right. They're going to build hotels. The West Bank is going to be level. It's going to be a tourist attraction. Trump has got real estate deals in Gaza. So it's bad either way, but I think we seem to forget, and maybe we'll keep it fresh in our memories now. Ladies and gentlemen, it can always get worse. I have to remind myself, because I think I want to just repress this as far down in my mind as I can. Trump has the nuclear codes. Do you remember during his first term when he asked the question? This is also a man that said, oh, if you just inject the bleach, then the COVID goes away. He meant that. Yeah, he meant it. And then somebody was like, yo, don't tell people that. I remember having a press conference with the city of Milwaukee health director. What's their position called? The chief health person, because they had to put out bulletins to tell people not to inject bleach. And as common sense as you would think that is, believe it or not, and please believe it, there are people that when they hear the president say things, they believe it because the president said it. A lot of times it's boomers. Because like boomers will still click here on your computer. You just won $10,000. Oh my, I think I should click on this. Please enter all of your information, including your social security number. Martha, go get my social security card. I'm going to get this $10,000. So there are people that are susceptible, not a lot, but there's enough that are susceptible to information that they hear broadcast publicly. And we had to do a whole bunch of media to tell people not to actually inject bleach. And so this same guy's got the nuclear codes. He also asked during his first term, because there was a hurricane coming. I don't know which one it was. There were many during Donald Trump's first term. He said, what if we detonate a nuclear weapon in the middle of the hurricane? Will that stop? And he legitimately asked that question. I think he is worse mentally now than he was then, and he still has the nuclear codes. So there were some members of the Senate maybe a couple members of the House. This happened fairly recently. I think you guys may recall this because it made big news. And these individuals, if I'm not mistaken, are currently under investigation by the Department of Justice because they told members of the military, armed services, to ignore illegal orders. You guys remember that? Bunch of members of Congress, the guy from Arizona, Gabby Gifford's husband, Mark something, what's his name? You know who he is, don't you, Xavier? Mark something. He said, yeah, he was a military guy. And he was like, no, it's in your little military booklet, little policies that says you should ignore illegal orders. And then, of course, Trump had a fit, other Republicans had a fit, and the Department of Justice is investigating Democratic members of Congress for telling members of the military to follow protocols and procedures. If the order is illegal, you must disobey it. You know what that actually was for? If Donald Trump wants to start a nuclear war, Mark Kelly, thank you, Xavier. Mark Kelly, Senator Mark Kelly, he went on all the Sunday morning talk shows. He was like, come get me. I'm standing by what I said. They have to ignore illegal orders. Donald Trump might want to start a nuclear war. And guess what? We want the military personnel, to ignore that order. He may wake up real mad one day. Trump may wake up and not like a headline in the New York Times. Let's bomb New York. Mom Donnie is the mayor. They had a bromance for a minute, though. Because if you go far enough to the left on the political spectrum, you end up on the right. If you go far enough to the left, you get your guns back. Like progressives and liberals, no, we don't like guns. Guns are bad. Everybody should turn in their guns. But if you keep going left, you get revolutionaries. So it's not all that far apart for right-wing fascists and left-wing ultra-communist authoritarian. They sometimes can have some stuff in common, as weird as that may be. But if you go far enough to the extreme, you sometimes will find friendships. Very, very weird. But to investigate members of Congress, which of course is not going to go anywhere, for telling members of the uniformed services to ignore illegal orders would potentially stop a nuclear war. I know Trump wants to use a nuclear weapon because I just don't think he probably thinks that, they're just like really big bombs. No, we'd have a nuclear winter. And so we have this thing, because I've been researching this, and I really don't want to have to research it because it can always get worse, is what I'm trying to prove. If a nation fires a nuclear weapon on us, we don't go one at a time. We immediately launch like 12 or 1,300 nuclear warheads immediately. 72 hours, about 99% of civilization is dead. And then you have nuclear winter, where the fallout and the soot from the nuclear explosions all over the globe, it will be dark for 8 to 10 years. The sun's rays will not be able to penetrate, meaning agriculture will be dead. There will be no clean water. There will be no clean air to drink. And this happens in 72 hours. So when Mark Kelly and others say that Donald Trump should, and members of the military rather, should ignore illegal orders, that's what we're trying to prevent. With these nuclear weapons that we have, this is 180 million degrees of light. So even if you cover your eyes, you would still go blind. Anyone within a 10-mile radius of one of these nuclear weapons detonating, this is if a country fires on us, you would go deaf, and like a 5-mile radius, literally everything is going to be vaporized, and there's going to be like a 10-mile circle of fire. It's really bad. So please, members of the U.S. military, especially those that are in charge of giving the launch codes, don't let Trump start a nuclear war because Stephen Colbert made a funny joke about Trump. Okay, I just want you guys to bear with me here. I got some information about criminal justice. Yay! It can always get worse. Which racial group has the most criminal convictions per capita? Oh, no. Black. Using state and federal imprisonment rates per 100,000 adults, which is the best proxy for convictions per capita. The most recent national data shows per 100,000 adults, 1,218 African Americans are incarcerated. And next, I didn't even know the Native Americans had this high of an incarceration rate. That's crazy. The most colonized people have the highest rates of imprisonment. Well, I'm not shocked. Native Americans, 1,045 Native Americans are incarcerated per 100,000 population. Hispanic, 606. White, 231 whites per 100,000 are incarcerated. This does not mean that they didn't commit crimes. Doesn't mean that they aren't guilty. They are just serving dramatically less time in jail. This means that African Americans are incarcerated at over 5 times the rate of white Americans and 14 times the rate of Asian Americans. These Asians are over here winning. Only 88 incarcerations per 100,000 Asian Americans. Think about this. So think about all the prison movies you've seen, all the prison documentaries you've seen. You ain't seen no Asians as somebody's cellmate. Think about it. I don't think I've ever seen an Asian in prison before. Oh, boy. I know somebody who should be in prison, though.
Hello, Sherwin. You brought up some excellent topics, and I want to bring them up. But Racine is cool. Chicago is very cool, and we make better pizza. That's all I got to say. The other topics, you bring up some good topics, and I wanted to bring up and comment on your topic. But you gotta screw Chicago. I'm getting tired of you saying messing with Racine in Chicago. So, get it right, Sherry. Could you please get it right? Talk to you later. I'll comment on your topics next time. Hasta luego.
Not hasta luego. And he hung up, too. I didn't say anything about Racine today.
Yeah, how did you get that from the whole show of what we've been talking about?
I think that Bob has a little taste of what Trump has. Not as bad, but just a sprinkle. You know what I mean? Bob ain't the whole cupcake. He's a sprinkle. You know what I mean? He ain't got the whole full-blown. He's a sprinkle. But I stand by pizza. We have way better pizza. So they call it tavern style in Chicago. That's because they're stupid. It's actually Milwaukee style. I like a thin crust pizza. Real thin, real crispy. I like that. Nobody want no thick, deep dish pizza. It's too thick. You can only eat one piece. The whole point of pizza is how much pizza can you shovel in your mouth? When you get the deep dish pizza, you can only eat one piece. It's too thick. I don't need all that crust. It's like eating a loaf of bread. Nobody need all that crust. Who decided, let's take 74 pounds of dough and 32 pounds of cheese and just put it in a big old pot and just bake it? No. Thin crust pizza. In fact, I'm not supposed to like this guy, but I like his pizza reviews. Dave Portnoy. Everybody knows the rules, one bite. And he scores pizza. Goes all over the country. So he went to Zaffiro's on Farwell. The best pizza in the world. Been there since 1954. Hands down. Thin, super crispy, cracker thin crust. And it's got to be cut in squares. Got to cut it in squares. Tastes better in squares. And I like my middle pieces, you see. So Dave Portnoy, everybody knows the rules. One bite, score the pizza. He gave Zaffiro's a 7.1. I turned that video right off. How you gonna be racist against the Italians? They faced racism too, and I got to see it firsthand by saying Zaffiro's pizza was a 7.1. How dare you, Dave Portnoy? You know what, X? It starts with a spark, and at Milwaukee College Prep, that spark turns into something extraordinary. From age 3 through 8th grade, Milwaukee College Prep nurtures brilliance and builds scholars with knowledge, character, and confidence. 88% of students face economic hardship, but that doesn't define them. Because at Milwaukee College Prep, every child's potential shines. With 4 campuses and one powerful mission, college and beyond. Milwaukee College Prep is free, high-performing, and open to all Milwaukee families. For more information, visit Milwaukee College Prep to get involved or to enroll. That's Milwaukee College Prep, where Milwaukee's future begins. And the truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The award-winning 101.7 The Truth proudly celebrates Black excellence and the most monumental moments in our history. All month long, we're honoring the voices, the stories, and the achievements that have shaped our past, empowered our present, and continue to inspire our future. Tune in for Dr. Ken's Trivia, spotlighting powerful facts and moments you need to know, and Tori Lowe's Our Voices, Our Stories, amplifying the youth, perspectives, and lived experiences that define who we are. Tune in all month long as 101.7 The Truth lifts up the legacy, the brilliance, and the power of Black history. Because Black history isn't just history, it's happening every day. 101.7 The Truth's celebration of Black History Month is proudly sponsored by Educators Credit Union and Tayback Law. Celebrating Black excellence, celebrating our history. All month long on 101.7 The Truth.
Injured? Call Gruber Law Offices today. One call, that's all.
Literally one call, that's all.
I made one call and that's all, worry-free.
One call, that's all. It worked.
Just one call and that's all.
They will do what they say they're gonna do. One call and that's all.
One call, that's all means security.
It's literally one call, that's all.
It's a phrase we'll never forget. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
We need to optimize the PID controller for smoother robotic movements.
Our data analysis shows a significant correlation between the variables in both control groups.
The test shows you've experienced an acute myocardial infarction.
As you'll see on the syllabus, this course will largely focus on the Mesozoic era.
Get your child the access every child deserves. Enroll your K through 8th grade child by February 28 at Milwaukee College Prep, mkeprep.com/enroll.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 101.7 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning a home isn't just about 4 walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your family's tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
The Truth with Sherwin Hughes returns after this on 101.7 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
The award-winning 101.7 The Truth is proudly celebrating Black History Month. Make sure you tune in to Dr. Ken's Trivia, spotlighting powerful facts, and Tori Lowe's Our Voices, Our Stories. All month long, we are celebrating the legacy of Black History Month here on 101.7 The Truth, and Black History is happening every single day. 101.7 The Truth celebration of Black History Month is proudly sponsored by our friends over at Educators Credit Union. Okay, so I went to the YouTube page, our YouTube broadcast. If you haven't done so already, of course, go to youtube.com or open up your YouTube app from your smartphone or other mobile device. Search 101.7 The Truth, or you can search The Truth with Sherwin Hughes. Hit subscribe, and you'll be able to view the live stream and also participate in the YouTube chat. A lot of y'all are sticking up for Bob. Bob is verbally and mentally abusive to me, okay? And I have a feeling that some of you that are sticking up for Bob are racist against me. I mean, yes, I know some of you are black. You don't got to tell me that. I can tell that some of you are black by your poor spelling. But if you're going to stick up for Bob as he calls in with just absolute nonsense that doesn't make sense to anybody but him, only what he says only makes sense in his head. I heard a new saying, and I said I wanted to start incorporating it more. Bob is, that boy is a lost ball in tall weeds. I heard somebody say that cracked me up. And who is this person here? Hang on a sec. What's this person's name? Or they just said something. I got to scroll up because y'all are typing fast. Gigita. Is that her name? Gigita1. She said Wisconsin food sucks. You've been eating the wrong kind of food? And then So Don't Even Quote Me says, can we stop hating on each other? Maybe you can recognize free love. Get out of here, hippie. Go back to the 60s. There is no love no more. Everybody, you got to start with hate. There's no more taking the high road anymore. I tried taking the high road. I can't. I get down and dirty. Even Michelle Obama revised her little saying, when they go low, we go high. She had to stop saying that mess. It makes you look weak. There's no high road anymore. And I'll be damned if I'm the only one up there on the high road. Oh, I'm going to turn the other cheek. I'll turn the other cheek, all right. And guess what? Kiss it. Federal prison population from the year 2025. 34.9% of the federal prison population is black. 30.07% is Hispanic. 29.9% is white. That's kind of evenly split. 4.5% other. So that's like 94% of the prison population is black, Hispanic, and white. Average sentence length by race in federal cases only. Direct sentence length varies by race, are not always published annually, but the U.S. Sentencing Commission analysis shows black men receive sentences that are 13.4% longer than white men. Hispanic men receive sentences that are 11.2% longer than white men. These gaps persist after controlling for offense type and criminal history. And I don't want to make a generalization because that's not fair, because they're oftentimes inaccurate. But looking at our current landscape, social and political, I think white men need to spend a little more time in prison. A little bit more. Because I think Jeffrey Epstein, wasn't he locked up once before? Am I mistaken?
I think in 2008.
He was locked up in 2008, and then he got out and then did worse stuff.
He got to leave during the day to work, go about, and then he went back at night to sleep.
Dude had work release. That's crazy. Look what he did during that time. That's when he was really putting it down. Like, he was real bad in the 2000s. Did you also hear that he won the lottery?
I didn't know that.
Check that out, Xavier. Look that up. He won like Powerball. Mysteriously. Hold on, man. Wait a minute. He already was worth billions of dollars. How is he going to win the lottery? That's fixed. I knew there was something foul with the lottery because I should have won.
$85 million in 2008.
So the year he was in prison, he won the lottery. Tell me that makes no sense.
Yeah. There's a lot of other things that doesn't make sense about him.
I know you've been digging deep into Epstein files. Be careful with some of that stuff, X, because it's going to drive you crazy. And a lot of it isn't true. Some of it is manufactured. I think some of it is AI. But also, when I was talking about this earlier in the week, if I had a problem with Jeffrey Epstein, like if I was mad at him or something, I want to snitch on him, I call the FBI. I'm like, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein is killing more dogs than Michael Vick. Even though Jeffrey Epstein was killing probably people, because I called the FBI and said that also would be entered into the Epstein files, even if it wasn't vetted. right? If there was no investigation. So they put everything. That's why there's so many pages, because it's literally everything. And then some of the stuff, of course it's true. But other things could be speculation. All right? Typical federal sentence lengths for all races. This is interesting, too. So 24.6% of the prison sentences, so for all races, are between 5 and 10 years. 21.9% of prison sentences between 10 and 15 years, 21.9%. And then 15 plus years, 23.6%. So it's almost evenly split between people serving 5 to 10, 10 to 15, and 15 plus. That is about 80% of the prison sentences, which, of course, the others being less than 5 years. It says because black defendants receive longer sentences for similar offenses, average time served for African-American offenders is measurably higher. Now, here's the good news. You guys want some good news? I'd love to give you good news because I love you so very much. Except for the lady that said that Wisconsin food is trash. Well, then get your damn food imported from Minnesota then. Incarceration rate trends. This is state and federal combined. In 1990, there were 773,000 people incarcerated in both state and federal prisons. That's not a lot. However, we also had less population in America in 1990, though, too. In 2000, that number doubled. It went up to 1.38 million. The peak prison incarceration in the United States, this does not include jails, this is just state and federal prisons, peaked at 1,610,000 in 2010. I think that includes the opioid crisis because we were starting to decline. African American incarceration was declining after the 1994 crime bill, but prison enrollment, incarceration, sentencing to prison went up during the opioid crisis. And the year 2023, the year in which we have the most recent data, 1.25 million people are currently incarcerated or there's about. Incarceration rates surged between 1990 and 2010 due to the war on drugs, mandatory minimums, 3 strikes laws, and aggressive policing strategies. Here's the good news. Finally, sheesh. You ready for this? All right. Black incarceration rates peaked between 2000 and 2005. So that's not the good news. But then they have been on the steady decline. Black male incarceration rates are down 48% since the year 2000. Look at that. Now here, and the whites are down too, but not as much as us. White incarceration is only down 28%. Hispanic incarceration is down 21%. African American male. Now, I think this is women too. But black women don't really go to prison like that. You know that white women go to prison at a higher rate than black women do? And rightfully so, you thugs. No, this is black male. So this is just men. Oh, good. Black male incarceration rate is down 48% since 2000. Our incarceration rate as black men is down more than double that of white and Hispanic. See, we were innocent all along. Thank you. That's the good news that we all can use. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 FM. We'll be right back.
You are listening to The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 101.7 The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Many wins. Many wins. Waiting at Potawatomi Casino Hotel, Milwaukee. This February, you could break the bank and get down with a share of $300,000 in prizes. Bust out your rewards card and play to earn entries. It all goes down with Thursday drawings. Break the bank. Only at Potawatomi. More info online. Must be 21 and a rewards member to play.
70 million people in the U.S. have learning and thinking differences, like ADHD and dyslexia. Each has their own story. This is ours. At first, I thought it was just a phase. Then schoolwork became a struggle. Emotions got bigger, and my kids started falling behind. I felt alone, like I was lost in the dark trying to find answers. Then I learned about Understood.org, a nonprofit empowering parents and kids like us. It was like we had a light to show us the path ahead. Whenever new challenges came up, their guidance helped us figure out our next step. We still have tough days, but now we have direction. And I have the tools and resources I need to help my child thrive. No matter where you are on the path, Understood can help you keep moving forward. Visit understood.org/yourpath today.
Teachers are dynamic leaders, shaping a new generation. They bring a variety of perspectives from diverse backgrounds, innovating how they teach to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Achieving this takes skill and expertise. They're tireless explorers, creatively discovering a universe of solutions, telling stories, experimenting, inspiring, mentoring, connecting cultures, and connecting with each other, leading by example. Experience the unique joy of helping students thrive. Teaching is a journey that shapes lives. Are you ready to begin? Explore teaching at teach.org, a campaign supported by the U.S. Department of Education, Teach.org, and 1 million teachers of color.
More of The Truth with Sherwin Hughes is next on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to help. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan and a budget, and they'll help you move step by step, even in improving that credit. Let's get that credit score up a little bit. And you can move toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying a lot less than what they're paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your families tomorrow. Start your journey at axhousing.org. That's ACTS housing.org. Your legacy begins at home. So everybody go buy a house. And you can decorate it however you want to. For those of you that live in apartments, do you paint your apartment walls? Do people do that? And do they make you paint it back? Because if you're going to live in an apartment for a long time, you might want to paint the dining room. Are you allowed to do that? Paint your dining room?
I have not personally.
Okay. Well, you're a young guy. You don't own a house, do you? I'd be very impressed if you did.
Oh, no, I don't. I live in an apartment downtown.
Oh, well, la-ti-da, downtown dweller. You know, with Axe Housing, you could get a house for a lot less than you're paying for rent.
I'll look into it.
All right, you should. Tell them I sent you. Let's take a look at some of these text messages that rolled through at 833-212-1017. Alan said, I'm a local semi-truck driver. I made $93,000 last year. That's a good salary. That's too much driving, though. You got to be okay being on the road and driving a big truck. Too much driving. That's good money, though. And even better if you either driving or if you're not driving, you're sleeping, because then you make $93,000 and you can't spend any of it. Rodney says they arrested the prince. The UK is playing chess with the files. They knew something more about the files and did so to see what the U.S. will do. I think they're just embarrassed by it because that's King Charles's brother. They stripped him of his royal title a bunch of years ago. I think they have a different... Because the royal family, because they did some atrocities, like they created white supremacy. It came from them. And they're all gross and all inbred anyway, but they stand firmly against preying on children. They were marrying 12 and 13-year-old girls for centuries, but whatever. I'm not an Anglophile. I know a lot of you are. I'm not. So when when the white people in England get married and there's the royal wedding and everybody get like, oh, the royal wedding. Why it becomes a phenomenon over here, I have no idea. We went to war with England. Why are we so excited about monarchy? We don't want that over here. I used to think that we didn't, but y'all all freak out about the royal wedding. Like, oh, what's his name? The married a black girl? Prince Harry? He married a chocolate girl. They hated her.
America's infatuated with wealth. Why do you think Donald Trump's the president?
Oh, I totally agree with that. And I posted something because I went to the Democrats that are running for governor here had a candidate for them. It wasn't a debate. I wanted them to debate, but they didn't. It was just, they basically were all talking about their policies literally being the exact same. So it was hard to differentiate between any of the candidates. But there was something I found disturbing. All of them hated rich people. They all tried to compete on who hates wealthy people more. Ladies and gentlemen, money does not inherently make you evil. And I don't understand that, because when the Powerball gets to $2 billion, everybody plays. And I don't think that if some of you won the Powerball, you would instantaneously become an awful person. We got to stop doing that. Everybody wants to be rich. Everybody wants to be financially independent. They do. But we always have this vendetta against rich people, like we're blaming them for all their problems. And I know rich people, and some of them are very nice. And the tax breaks that they get, most of the time, they don't even ask for them. I think I'm frozen. My camera's frozen. Sometimes this camera in here resets. But at least it didn't freeze with me doing something embarrassing. Let's talk to Al, shall we? Hey there, Al. How you doing?
I'm doing well. First thing I want to say is nobody's mad at nobody for being rich. I mean, how you get it is how you get it. Just don't try to step on my toes when I try to get it, because if you try to step on my toes, I'm going to step over your whole body. And even though the rich are fascinated with wealth, they always love those blacks after midnight. Man, woman, let's not forget child, too. And in closing, nobody never asks for white people to feel guilty. The only thing that black people ask is judge them by their content and not the color of the skin. Because usually when something catastrophic happens, you always lean on them black people to be your eyes when nobody's watching your back. Or usually when something like when your family's getting these homes and you turn your back on your mother and father because you feel she got one foot in the grave and you want to F up and go through all her money, it's usually those blacks that keeps her alive. And then usually when something happened to you and them blacks stop you from going down under, and them blacks help you, then you go and stab them in the back. But the only thing black people ask of you is judged by the contents of who they are. Prime example, you bought this brand new Denali F3500, looks good and everything, but the motor is straight trash. It stays in the shop more it is on the road. But you looked at this Ford 1976 F350 and you just counted out the game, but you failed to realize if you looked up under the hood, everything is rebuilt and got nothing power. And it's running from Milwaukee down to Key, Florida, all the way up to Oregon to California, back to your hometown. But you judge by the look, but not the contents. And that's why y'all are looking guilty and feeling guilty, because you know who you are on the inside. Black people don't want you to feel guilty. Just judge them by their content. But y'all know how to put that aside when you get horny. Have a great day, everybody.
Al, before you go, don't go yet. Hold on.
What's up?
I got a question for you. Are you rich? Are you wealthy? I'm just curious if you, because I think you might be rich.
I'm not rich and I'm not wealthy, but I didn't came close with a couple of wheels. But this time I'm gonna get it off the top, because I want to celebrate you while you are in the land of the living. I don't want to celebrate when you're dead. I want to celebrate while you're here with me, so we can celebrate together. Why do I want to celebrate you and you dead and you're nothing but maggot food and protein? I'd rather celebrate you now. See, I'm old school. See, the new ones, they want to celebrate you when they know you're about to take your last breath and go through your money in a year, and then you're broken back in the same zip code. I want to celebrate you now. multiples. That's how you do it. Have them sign that money up front and have them spend it now. I don't want to wait till you're dead because I want to see the smile on my face and the smile on your face when I lick your lips for bringing me into wealth. I don't want to celebrate you when you're dead and in the casket. I want you to feel good when you're celebrating now and each other together. How about that?
Thank you.
Have a good day, everybody.
Okay, then. Thank you for that. Sometimes I ask questions and I don't always want to know the answer. Like, I don't want to know what Al is doing to get written into somebody's will. You know, I'm just not. I don't need to be privy to that. So there's. Okay, let's read some text messages, shall we? Brittany says, I'll take a ginger. Like a redhead? Redheads are special. Yeah, they are. They know. If you know, you know.
Yes, they're very special.
You know. They're very nice people. I'm talking about the women. I don't know about a man redhead. Men,
I know what you're talking about.
Men redheads are weird. No, there's a redheaded fellow that works here. His name is Josh. Josh, you're not weird. You're a very nice guy. But so redheads, natural redheads are like they're outcast. Like white people used to make fun of them and call them redheaded stepchildren because their hair is red and their complexion is usually very pale. So they always got made fun of, and because they were outcast by other white people, a lot of times redheads gravitate toward black people. If you look, redheads and African Americans have got a history.
There must be an old-timey thing. I don't recall too many redheads getting discriminated against.
Oh, God, yeah. Like, within white culture and white society, white people are terrible to one another. I mean, white people have been killing each other and going to war with each other for thousands of years. We seem to think that they get along. Oh, white folks hate each other. But they happen to sometimes hate us more. But no, redheads are oftentimes ostracized. I grew up with a lot of white kids, different flavors of white people, and all of the red-haired, freckled children that I went to school with and grew up with got made fun of terribly, and I felt very bad for them. Okay, let's see what else we got here. Brittany says, that part, Sherwin, people be talking with no plan, all emotions, buckle in and get ready type sugar honey iced tea. And we read Rodney's comments already. Dawn says, I don't like the orange man. I also don't care about Epstein files. I think that that's a common thing. If I continue to talk about it, I think people would they would go numb. Because it's one outrageous thing after another. And what makes us look bad is we don't have any recourse. The American people can't say, hey, let's all come together and tell Donald Trump to resign and then J.D. Vance will be president. We don't have that power. So hearing about the awful things that our president and a whole bunch of other people may have done and things they're going to be implicated in, I think it makes us look stupid because we can't do anything about it. And yeah, I could go on and on about it, and every night there's some new discovery, some new revelation, because you've got all these people nationally and internationally going through these files, which I come to understand is very difficult because it's not in any kind of coherent order. You have to know how to search, and there's different search queries and all this other stuff. I don't have that kind of time. And if I found something that was like really gross and really outrageous, and I told you guys about it, and we all were outraged together, what would we do? We'd still have to go to work. We still have to take care of our responsibilities. The world would still turn. And like, I don't want to add, obviously it's necessary for us to know the details of what this man may have been involved in. But if we're not going to hold the Republican legislators responsible and accountable because they're still protecting this man, then what even are we going to do? We're not going to go and protest. We're not all going to drive to Washington, D.C. and yell and scream and try and jump over the White House fence. We're just not going to do anything. So I don't want to make people unnecessarily angry when there is no recourse. You knew he was a bad man a long time ago, but he got elected 2 times. 2 times. And in the amount of time that he wasn't elected, he actually got worse because that is when he was really pushing the election fraud. And you know my theory on that. This goes back to something that Hitler did. Accuse your enemy of what you are doing, so the focus is on your enemy, and you can get away with anything. I think there was some engineering or some changing of some votes in a handful of battleground counties because all the tech bros were surrounding Donald Trump at his inauguration. I think that they helped that guy win because he couldn't risk losing twice. He couldn't. Too much damage to his ego. And plus, he needed to go on his revenge tour, which he is on. I also don't think the assassination attempt was real. Because think about this. He should be talking about it every day. If somebody tried to kill me and I was president of the United States, I wouldn't shut up about it. He doesn't even mention it anymore. Like, you got to think about in history how exceptionally monumental that is. An attempted assassination on a presidential candidate or a president of the United States is earth-shattering history because it's only happened a couple of times, and every single time it's happened, it's been a big deal. This dude had 2 assassination attempts, and he don't even mention it no more. He doesn't mention it because I shouldn't talk about it because it really didn't happen, and someone might start investigating if I talk about it. And Trump likes to brag. The best thing that he could brag on is they tried to kill me and they didn't. Tupac made a whole volume of albums about you shot me 5 times and you missed. Well, then they killed him eventually, though.
He might not remember.
Who might not remember?
Trump.
Oh, yeah, he does. I got a story about Trump's assassination. So his ear, that was his blood. He was bleeding. So that was authentic. That wasn't fake blood. He was shot in Butler, Pennsylvania, I think on a Friday. He was in Milwaukee that weekend. So he came to Milwaukee the next day. He was either here Saturday or Sunday. He stayed at the Pfister Hotel. And when the president stays at a hotel, they limit the number of people that have access to him and to his room. It's usually one person, and they vet that person significantly through security. I happen to know the individual that works at the Pfister Hotel that was the only one that had that kind of personal access to the president, meaning this individual changed his sheets and got things for him and delivered things for him because this individual was cleared to do so. She had to change his pillowcases because they had blood on them. They saved the pillowcases. And I'm telling this individual, like, yo, sell them. She's like, oh, no, not yet. Not yet, but one day I will. Think about how sloppy that Secret Service is because something with the president's DNA on it is not supposed to just be disposed or discarded of. They kept the pillowcases. Like some collector weirdo would probably pay $1 million for those pillowcases with Donald Trump's blood on them.
Now he's coming for her. You just outed her.
Oops. The Truth with Sherwin Hughes will be right back.
This is The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
Half of American parents cannot afford diapers. Hi, this is WTMJ's Kristen Bry. This spring, WTMJ and the Milwaukee Diaper Mission are teaming up to change that. Join me for WTMJ Cares Bowling for Babies, where we will raise funds for Milwaukee Diaper Mission. Register to bowl with us on March 7th at Village Bowl in Menominee Falls. Registration is now open. Go to WTMJCares.com to sign up. Act quickly, teams will fill up fast. It's WTMJ Cares Bowling for Babies to help the Milwaukee Diaper Mission.
Life's better with American Family Insurance because we know you love working weekends. If it means working on your dream home, both inside and out. And we're here to help protect those dreams so you can enjoy peace of mind. Save up to 40% when you bundle home and auto. American Family Insurance. Get a quote and find an agent at amfam.com.
Products, pricing, and availability vary based on the way you purchase insurance and by state. Some exclusions apply. American Family Mutual Insurance Company, SI, and its operating companies, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
It is time to plan for kindergarten. Will your child turn 3, 4, or 5 by September 1st? Learn about kindergarten programs and enroll now at Milwaukee Public Schools. Explore schools offering traditional kindergarten, Montessori, and more. MPS students enjoy art, music, and physical education along with reading, writing, math, and science. Bus transportation and before and after school care are available. Attend the citywide kindergarten enrollment fair on February 21st at North Division High School. Get the details at mpsmke.com/enroll.
Hi, this is Sherwin Hughes from 1017 The Truth, and I want to talk to you about something bigger than just buying a house. I'm talking about building a legacy. Owning owning a home isn't just about four walls and a roof. It's about giving your kids a place where memories are made, where birthdays are celebrated, and where they always belong. It's about planting roots, knowing your neighbors, waving from the porch, and being a part of a community that feels like family. If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is even possible, Axe Housing is here to work with you. An Axe Housing coach will help you create a plan, a budget, and move step by step toward owning a place you can truly call your own. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and many are paying less than they were paying for rent. Don't let where you are today stop your families tomorrow. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Your legacy begins at home.
It's The Truth with Sherwin Hughes on 1017 The Truth, The Truth app, and 1017thetruth.com.
If you've been renting and wondering if home ownership is possible, well, it is. You can work with the folks over at Axe Housing, and they will get you ready to go. They'll put together a plan and a budget for you and even help get your credit on track. They've already helped over 4,000 families become homeowners, and you could be and should be next. And what we're finding is that people are paying a lot less to own a home than they are paying for rent. Don't let where you are right now stop your family's bright future. Start your journey at axehousing.org. That is ACTShousing.org. Your legacy begins at home. Tell them, Tom Petty.
There is no sense in pretending. Your eyes give you away.
That's enough of that, Tom Petty. Did we fix our camera? Camera fix? I don't like when the camera is over my shoulder because then y'all can see see my computer monitor. I don't like that now. Not that I'm looking at anything inappropriate. I would never do that. Did it really? Well, my show's almost over, so that's fine. That's going to be a Kyle Wallace problem. But actually, I guess this camera's not that bad. So this camera that you have on me right now that would be for like, if we have a guest sitting over here is when we would use this left shoulder camera. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Let me see what I'm looking at on the screen. Ain't nothing inappropriate. I don't even connect to the Wi-Fi here. Do you connect your Wi-Fi to the Good Karma Brands Wi-Fi?
I don't want them knowing what I'm looking at, you know?
Well, what are you looking at? Never mind. That's between you and God. That's fine. I just don't, because I don't need it. My phone has got excellent internet. So I come in the morning, I have my little laptop, I just connect my laptop to my cell phone's wireless signal. Well, let me tell you the real reason why I don't connect to Good Karma Brands Wi-Fi. I don't know the password. I haven't known, and they change it all the time, and then you got to get an IT person to go all up in your devices. I just ain't got time for that, so I don't use it. I would also, as a word of advice, if you don't have to, ladies and gentlemen, don't connect your personal electronic devices to your work Wi-Fi. And I know you're not going to listen to me when I tell you this, but try to refrain from using your work computer to send and receive personal emails. It's not a good idea. I don't think it is. It's just not smart, because I know that if you're using their Wi-Fi, there is a way in which they can get access, and even it can be very personal, very private. But you also probably sign some internet usage policy. I'm sure I signed one too, and I just don't even want to have to deal with that stuff. Plus, I'm not looking up no freaky stuff anyway. But I bet just by searching the Epstein files, it could return some really inappropriate stuff. And that's the other part. So I have been made aware of, on a number of occasions, so in high schools, right, where they're kids. And if a high school kid takes a picture of themselves nude or topless or whatever, and they send it to another high school kid, and then it gets circulated. Like, this happened in MPS. Well, it happens frequently. But then the parents find out about it, and the parents get very angry because the parent might go through their children's phone and see a picture of another child. Everybody has child pornography. That's what, seriously. If your teenage child has nude photos of themselves or somebody else, and those photos have been exchanged and sent and exchanged, that's a child pornography charge. So just stay away from all of that stuff. Don't. Parents, do you go through your kids' phones? You should, if you're paying for it. I didn't have any privacy growing up. None. In fact, my parents would sometimes tell me I couldn't even close the door to my bedroom. Especially if I had, they used to let my little girlfriend come over. I had the same little girlfriend for my senior year until we both graduated from college. We were together for a long time. 7 years? I mean, I'm married now, though. Oh, you didn't know I got married, actually?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, I'm married now. Yeah, it's fun.
To one of the listeners?
That would be a mistake. Well, I don't really have a choice. Because if a lot of people listen to me, and on some days, a lot of people do, I can't further, back in the day when I was single, I couldn't further narrow the dating pool to people that don't listen to my show because I might be cutting out some very good women. Have I met listeners before? I have. Have I had any kind of romantic involvement with a listener before? Nope.
The Fifth Amendment.
You don't want to do that because then they would call and get jealous and all of those other things. What have we learned today? We learned that African American men have reduced their incarceration rate by 48% since 2005. And we learned that the industries in which black people are overrepresented pay the least amount of salary. Bye-bye. See you later. Join me every Friday at 11 a.m. for the Milwaukee Experience with Sherwin Hughes, presented by Visit Milwaukee. We're a city that knows how to celebrate, where the calendar is packed with festivals, the plates are piled high with flavor, and a lakefront sunrise sets the stage. Here in Milwaukee, every street leads to something worth savoring, a place that welcomes you with open arms and where joy is shared in bites, beats, and cheers. The Milwaukee Experience every Friday at 11 a.m. exclusively on The Truth with